Chapter 963, Crumbling Beast-Taming Sioux Family Annihilated. After all, clan cultivators are different from immortal sects disciples. Disciples of immortal sects may form small groups at most, and if others die, they die. It's only because they happen to encounter this, and out of camaraderie they lend a hand and seek revenge. Otherwise, normally immortal sects disciples wouldn't waste time avenging their fellows. But clan disciples are different. They have blood ties and tend to be more united. Even if we don't mention the unity of family bonds, when a large family enters the secret realm and someone dies inside, the others must give a proper explanation to their family. Beast-taming Sioux family good? Lu Pingan nodded, aware that this family, being a nascent soul family, was not simple. He carefully shattered the ground and then dug up the golden Bodhi date tree, handing it to Lu Chuanjin. Lu Chuanjin took out a bottle of spiritual liquid from his storage bag, poured it over the golden Bodhi date tree, then placed it into the spirit plant bag. Ah! Just as Lu Chuanjin was about to retract the formation, both brothers paused, exchanged glances, hearing some noise coming from the cliff. A moment later, through the formation, Lu Chuanjin saw 5 figures moving down towards the cliff base, continuously heading downwards, seemingly in search of something. Identifying them by their attire and the spiritual beasts beside them, he immediately recognized them as members of the beast-taming Sioux family. It seems they came here after following some tokens. Lu Quanzhen's eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a hint of coldness as he roughly guessed what was happening. Search * the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Previously, after he killed 4 members of the Sioux family, he naturally wouldn't miss out on the spoils from their storage bags. In the storage bags, tokens and other suspicious items that couldn't be destroyed were all thrown off the cliff. Now looking at these people's movements, he guessed they were led here by the sensing of those tokens. But it seems like the beast-taming Sioux family knows about this cave. Lu Chuanjin recalled the previous 4 members of the Sioux family discovering the cave, seemingly purposefully, aware of the cave's location. Squinting, he looked to Lu Pingan and said, "Brother, these 5 are from the beast-taming Sioux family, likely here as a result of the tokens of those previously. Although by having the 5 individuals head to the base of the cliff, the 2 could escape without conflict. Who knows whether these people have other means to track down the 2 of them. Given this, it might be better to take the initiative and eliminate them all." Earlier, from the Sioux family members' storage bags, he gained quite a bounty, securing many precious spiritual medicines. Even their main target, the heavenly spirit fruit, resulted in 2. These 5 people, as cultivators from the beast-taming Sioux family, would undoubtedly yield substantial gains. Why slowly search for heavenly and earthly treasures when killing for loot is faster? As for taking lives as a form of pillage, Lu Chuanjin had no moral qualms. After all, in this world, if you don't rob, others will. If he didn't strive or rob, how would his family rise, and how would he achieve core formation within a century? After truly stepping onto the path of cultivation, he started to view these matters indifferently. Or rather, from the first time he killed in the mortal realm, he gradually became indifferent to life. As soon as he arrived in the mortal realm, he could grant life and death, controlling others' lives. With just a simple move, countless lives would perish, and he felt a certain change in his spirit. "Chuanjin, are you suggesting?" Lu Pingan was momentarily stunned, roughly guessing his brother's intention. "Rather than waiting for them to make a move, we should take the initiative." Lu Chuanjin, dressed in a black robe and with a slender figure, lacking a bit of color on his face which made him resemble a delicate scholar, spoke softly. Seeing his brother's narrow eyes and the smile on his face, Lu Pingan's heart shuddered slightly, and he spoke in a deep voice. "Okay, I'll handle them. Chuanjin, you support from the rear. These 5 are from the beast-taming Sioux family, all possessing spiritual beasts. Be careful, brother." Lu Chuanjin nodded with a smile. Although he was confident that the 2 of them could subdue the 5 from the Sioux family, even a lion uses full strength to catch a rabbit. "Rest assured." Lu Pingan nodded, knowing he needed to be swift and efficient. He stepped out of the cave, his eyes bright, looking towards the 5 figures descending towards the cliff base. Boom! Lu Pingan's inner energy circulated, his organs vibrated with a buzzing sound, like a dormant primordial fierce beast. His body glowed with a golden light, casting a cold metallic shine on his armor. Rumble! Following that, the rocks under his feet shattered, his tall form blasting out towards the cliff base, tearing through the layers of air, charging towards the 5. Ah! Roar, roar, roar. No good. Be careful. The 5 Sioux family members were all very alert. Coming here, following the token and seeing that another team had no news or movement, they realized something was off and came to investigate. Who are you? A middle-aged man around 40 years old shouted loudly. He was the leader of the Su family team. Seeing Lu Pingan with an overwhelming aura, which caused his spiritual beasts to howl in fear and sensing immense danger, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Seeing Lu Pingan coming closer, he dared not hesitate and shouted loudly, "Battle formations, Black Dragon Shears." Instantly, the five formed a formation. This was a battle formation, allowing multiple energy refining cultivators to integrate their energies, combining offense and defense, greatly enhancing their combat power. The five organized themselves, their spiritual beasts encircling them, two of them performing gesture incantations, summoning magic artifacts to create a protective shield encapsulating them all. The other three each summoned a black longsword, a black long knife and black chains. These three artifacts, under their control, emitted black light, merging in the air into a scissor measuring a zhang in length. The scissors emitted a frightful cold black radiance, with a flood dragon flickering in and out of visibility, ferocious and terrifying, seemingly able to tear through anything, charging towards Lu Pingan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 964. Crumbling Beast Taming Su Family Annihilated. Boom. Lu Pingan's body shot through the air like a meteor, muscles bulging as he fearlessly hurled his already raised right arm out to meet the approaching black shears, not dodging in the slightest. Idiot. To think you'd dare to catch our black dragon shears with your flesh and blood. Simply courting death. Truly, body refining has turned his brain to mush. The five from the Su family saw Lu Pingan's action and all sneered, scoffed and looked on with disdain. But the next moment, a golden fist struck out, accompanied by a sound of dragon's roar and tiger's howl, clashing directly with the black shears. Clang! A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering metallic symphony erupted, sparks flying everywhere. The violent, powerful force burst forth from the center of the fist and the shears, violently spreading out, sending rocks and soil from the cliffs rolling down and turning into dust. This. How is this possible? He's actually clashing fists with the black dragon shears. The five members of the Su family shouted in alarm, their eyes filled with disbelief, horror, and shock. You should know their black dragon shears were no ordinary artifact. It was a combined spiritual artifact bestowed by the old patriarch of their family. Normally, it acted as three top-tier magic artifacts, but once combined, it qualified as a low-quality spiritual artifact. And it wasn't just any run-of-the-mill production line spiritual artifact. It was a top-grade spiritual artifact with power comparable to a middle-grade spiritual artifact. The five of them wielding these black dragon shears could engage in battle even with Foundation establishment cultivators. But now, Lu Pingan was confronting their low-quality spiritual artifact, the black dragon shears, with his fists. Clang clang clang. Lu Pingan's fists were like dragons as he continually hammered down on the black shears, sparks flying, dazzlingly bright, causing the spiritual artifact to tremble frantically, its spiritual light dimming somewhat. Taoist, we do not know where we have offended you. If you have already claimed this place, we can leave. The lead member of the Su family shouted, waves of shock and dread rising in his heart. They hadn't anticipated that not only could Lu Pingan fend off their spiritual artifact with his fists, but he could also dim its spiritual light. This. They couldn't comprehend how such a humanoid fierce beast could appear inside the Purple Shadow secret realm. Who could refine their body cultivation to such a degree when their cultivation level was only at the 8th level of energy refinement. Boom boom boom. Lu Pingan remained silent, continuing to punch out, with the sound of clanging resonating in all directions, echoes upon echoes as rocks and chunks of earth rolled and shattered. Taoist, we are from the beast-taming Su family of Jianghu country. Could there be some misunderstanding between us? Another member of the Su family continued to shout out. Although they could guess why Lu Pingan was attacking, they really didn't want to continue the battle against such a body-refining cultivator. After all, entering the secret realm was for the purpose of seeking opportunities. There was no need to fight to the death. If both sides were harmed, neither would gain any benefit. Seeing Lu Pingan remain silent as he threw another punch, shattering the black dragon shears and dimming its light, anger flashed in the eyes of the few Su family cultivators. Taoist, do you really wish for both fish and net to be destroyed? Although your body refining is profound, killing all of us alone will come at a price. The 5 Su family cultivators shouted out loud. They were from the Su family, one of the top forces in Jianghu country. 10 people had entered the secret realm, and only at the start had one of them been killed by someone for some unknown reason. The remaining 9 had traveled together, divided into 2 groups, with hardly anyone daring to provoke them. Now, faced with Lu Pinggan's challenge, they were naturally filled with anger. Kill? Seeing this, the 5 realized that it would be difficult to resolve the situation peacefully and thus attacked with all their might, intending to make Lu Pinggan pay a price and retreat. They formed a battle formation, controlling the black dragon shears, and simultaneously commanded their spiritual pets to kill Lu Pinggan from the flank. One of them also distractedly threw out several talismans, bombarding Lu Pinggan. Yet against such an onslaught, Lu Pinggan remained fearless, merely turning his head to look at the tiger-like spiritual beast pouncing at him and spinning around to land a punch. His fist thundered like a drum beaten by gods and demons, breaking through the layers of air with a boom, tearing the massive body of the tiger apart, blood spraying everywhere. The talismans and techniques of the other 4 spiritual beasts fell upon Lu Pinggan's body, causing a series of violent explosions, but they did not inflict any substantial damage. The 5 were horrified to see Lu Pinggan's body refinement to be astonishingly resilient without any weaknesses. Not only could his physical strength clash with the black dragon shears, but his body also completely ignored their technique attacks. How could they fight against this? With what could they even fight? Open mountain. Lu Pinggan's energy surged powerfully, treasure light flowing around his body, golden radiance entwining his form, dazzling like a layer of golden battle armor. His right arm soared like a dragon snake rising from the ground, roll with momentum, and behind him loomed a magnificent giant axe. The void thundered, and as he punched out, his force exploded, causing endless sounds of air being shattered. The giant axe, following his punch, descended from the sky dome, unleashing an infinitely terrifying fierce power, causing the dimmed black dragon shears to cry out sadly as they were sent flying, crashing directly into the defense formation of the 5. Boom boom boom. It was as if the overwhelming force was vast like a prison, causing the defense formation to become dim, cracking densely, with the 5 inside shaken in chi and blood, pale-faced, spitting out blood. Damn it, damn it, damn it. At this moment, the members of the Su family felt as if they were shrouded in a thick cloud of death, their hearts sinking into despair. Yes, despair. Because in this exchange they no longer knew how to fight. They could not even breach Lu Pinggan's defense. Go! The 5 exchanged glances, ready to use life-saving measures to flee for their lives. Only then might they have a sliver of a chance. In an instant they abandoned their 4 spiritual pets, charging at Lu Pinggan to take the lead and using this method to buy time. Sir, the novel, Ft. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 965. Crumbling Beast Taming Su Family Annihilated. _4 Subsequently, the 5 people activated their life-saving talismans and fled in a flash, soaring into the sky. Boom boom boom. The protective barrier shattered loudly, and the 4 spiritual beasts couldn't even let out a whine before their bodies exploded, blood splattering across the sky. As the 5 members of the Su family were about to reach the cliff, they saw a young man in a black robe and a bound crown standing above them. Beside the young man stood a tall metal puppet, wielding a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. Above their heads, a giant hammer as large as a person and shrouded in purple lightning arcs, exuded a terrifying aura. Boom! The purple giant hammer, faced with the 5 men, struck directly downwards, engulfing them like a vast ocean of purple lightning. Talisman treasure? The 5 cultivators, seeing the giant hammer with purple lightning arcs, had their faces drastically change in horror. Unexpectedly, Lu Pinggan had an accomplice and in such a situation, even produced a talisman treasure to await them. Why have we, the Su family, offended you? The 5 men shouted desperately, their expressions hopeless as they tried to counter the talisman treasure's assault. But at that moment Lu Pinggan looked at them again and threw another punch. Boom boom boom. Facing such an onslaught, within an instant, the 5 individuals were blasted into a horrific mist of blood from both sides. Big brother, with this combat power, I suppose no one in the Purple Shadow secret realm could be your match. Lu Chuanjin said somewhat emotionally. He had been supporting Lu Pingan earlier and was surprised to see that the other side didn't use talismans but directly countered the Su family's 5 members with his physical body alone. He couldn't help but feel that only Foundation establishment cultivators were qualified to confront someone like Lu Pingan who performs body cultivation. Because, for energy refining cultivators, even the best among them couldn't break through the defense nor had any way to do so. Xianxia, if we kill too many inside this secret realm, I'm afraid it might easily lead to trouble. Moreover, when the secret realm ends, we need to turn in our findings, and if we harvest too much, it could also attract unwanted attention. Lu Pingan said to his younger brother, thinking he intended to loot openly in the secret realm. Initiating an attack on the Su family already had some justifiable reasons. But to rob others of their findings, that was something he wasn't willing or capable of doing. Hee big brother, I understand. Lu Xianxia smiled and nodded, knowing well the kind and generous nature of his older brother. Previously, when the two encountered other cultivators on the outskirts, as long as the others didn't attack first, Lu Pingan would definitely not initiate conflict. Sometimes, when he saw an opportunity to attack, he would simply let it go. The two processed the remains of the 5 people and their spiritual beasts, picking up the magic artifacts and storage bags, then returned to the cave to sort through these bags. As Lu Xianxia had guessed, the harvesting of the 5 members of the Su family was indeed substantial. Among them were not only several kinds of spiritual medicines that needed to be submitted, but also 3 heavenly spirit fruits. It seems that the Su family, with this kind of family force, must know some coordinates in the Purple Shadow Mountain where rare spiritual herbs are abundant. Lu Xianxia speculated based on the earlier situation. Moreover, as a family of clan cultivators like the beast-taming Su family, they certainly had seized other people's spiritual herbs and medicines, thus enabling such substantial findings. Big brother, since we have to submit 50% when we exit, I see here are quite a few spirit medicines effective for the physical body and energy, why don't you take them all to boost yourself? While Lu Xianxia and Lu Pingan were sorting the storage bags, Lu Xianxia suddenly spoke up. He had originally planned to meet up with Lu Qingshan near the end of their time in the secret realm and give him some spoils to carry out. After all, Lu Qingshan had a nascent soul master. Even if the spoils were generous, nobody would dare say anything. But now, their finding was indeed astonishing, so they might as well use some. Moreover, if we submit too many spirit medicines later, it might also invite trouble, so it's better if you take more, big brother. Lu Xianxia continued. In his view, submitting a pile of spirit medicines was genuinely less beneficial than using them to enhance one's cultivation level. Moreover, the family was currently relying on their father and several maternal aunts back at White Tiger Mountain, which lacked Foundation establishment cultivators. Though he and Lu Qingshan could break through to Foundation establishment within a few years, Lu Xianxia had long planned that once he achieved Foundation establishment, he would venture out to strive for core formation as soon as possible. With himself away and Lu Qingshan far in Yu country's Jianghu sect, Lu Wangshu would need at least a decade more to grow. That left only his big brother at home. Therefore he felt it was quite important for the other to enhance his strength. Lu Pingan found the idea reasonable. However, seeing so many spiritual medicines, he thought about consuming them directly but felt it would be a waste. After all, each of these spiritual medicines could be worth hundreds of spirit stones if put on the market. Before he could speak, Lu Xianxia pulled out a bunch of spirit herbs and medicines from the storage bags and handed them to Lu Pingan, indicating he would eat them too. Hearing this, the brothers began gnawing on spiritual medicines inside the cave. Were anyone to witness this scene, they would surely curse them for their reckless wastefulness. Outside the Purple Shadow secret realm. It seems Pingan has encountered great fortune within the secret realm. Not only has his cultivation level broken through to the 8th level of energy refinement, but his 100 refinements treasure body art has also advanced. Lu Changxing, through system feedback, knew of his son's multiple breakthroughs and was amazed. After all, just a year ago, Lu Pingan had only broken through to the 7th level of energy refinement and the 5th layer of the 100 refinements treasure body art. Now, within only 1 year he had made double breakthroughs. Especially to the 6th layer of the 100 refinements treasure body art. With Lu Pingan's 100 refinements treasure body art breaking through to the 6th layer, his own treasure body technique had also significantly improved. It was almost reaching the peak of the 8th layer. He planned to give Lu Pingan the halberd magic artifact he and Li Feiyu had obtained, once he returned home from the secret realm. After all, as a father, one naturally thinks of their children first when it comes to good things. Giving this damaged magic artifact to his children for cultivation would benefit them both. effectively a double gain. At this rate, perhaps my body refinement will reach the 3rd rank even faster than my cultivation level. Sar the novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing thought privately. When he had broken through to foundation establishment, his 100 refinements treasure body art had just advanced to the 3rd layer not long before. But now the treasure body technique had overtaken it. Just waiting for Xianxia and Qingshan to break through foundation establishment. Lu Changxing was hopeful, feeling more and more optimistic about the future. Buzz. Just then, a wave of core formation spiritual pressure suddenly spread through the air, overwhelming and terrifying like mountains, shaking all foundation establishment cultivators present. They all opened their eyes wide and looked up into the sky, unsure of what was happening. Oh, what's gotten into Patriarch Su to lose composure like this? Could it be that something unfortunate has happened to his descendants inside the secret realm? One of the false core patriarchs from the Shangguan family, one of the 3 great nascent soul noble families of Jianghu country, said with a laugh upon seeing Patriarch Zu's demeanor. Although the 3 great families were all family forces, their relationship was not very good. There were frequent frictions over interests, making it a clear struggle both openly and covertly. Humph, old ghost Shangguan, this matter does not need your concern. Patriarch Su said coldly, his expression dark as he contained the leaking false core spiritual pressure. His storage bag had contained 5 soul plates, which had all just shattered. This meant that all 10 of the Su family descendants had died within the Purple Shadow secret realm. 300 years ago, their family had allowed their descendants to explore the secret realm, resulting in an accident where only one survived. Afterward they established rules. Upon entering the secret realm, they must band together immediately and must not act alone. Since then their family had not suffered casualties of more than half. But this time, all 10 descendants had died in the secret realm. This incident was not only a loss of the secret realm's harvest for the beast-taming Su family, but it was also a severe blow to the family's reputation and prestige. Is it Qingyun's sect deliberately suppressing my Su family, or is it the Shangguan family, or perhaps the 4 great immortal sects? Patriarch Su speculated in his heart, suspecting some forces were targeting his family. After all, aside from the 4 great immortal sects and a few other major core formation forces, who could completely annihilate his descendants. Just as their family patriarch had previously been heavily injured in a beast tide, his condition was unclear. At this time, other families might be trying to probe their family's stance through this manner, thereby deducing the condition of their patriarch. Who exactly it is, we shall know once the secret realm concludes and we see the situations of the other families, Patriarch Su said calmly, standing on the divine vessel. Now that all his descendants had died in the secret realm, he could very well leave directly. But this matter was not only embarrassing but also concerned probing by other families. If he couldn't discern which family was responsible, it would be difficult to explain upon returning. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Young Master Lu Qingshan from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Purple Shadow Secret Realm. Lu Qingshan, we are not as skilled as you, we admit defeat. This white jade Ganoderma is yours. 2 disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect looked at the sharp and upright figure of Lu Qingshan in front of them, spoke solemnly and then left with a bow. The Heavenly Sword sect, interesting. Lu Qingshan watched the 2 departing Heavenly Sword sect disciples, his expression calm and indifferent. Planning to break through to Foundation establishment soon, if he had time he could consider going to the Heavenly Sword sect to challenge them. After all, these 2 were at best above average in the Heavenly Sword sect, not considered top-tier geniuses. But such a spar was somewhat helpful to his sword Dao. It indicated that this sword cultivation sect had many outstanding features. He walked over to the slain dual-headed python, picked the white jade Ganoderma that looked like jade and shimmered with a crystal-like luster, and put it into his spirit plant bag. Although he had seized quite a few heaven and earth spiritual materials along his way, he would not trouble those who were sensible and retreated voluntarily. Like these 2 Heavenly Sword sect disciples, they were easy to talk to. As long as there was a spar and they lost, they would willingly concede the spiritual medicine. Xiao Jin, continue. Lu Qingshan took out a spirit grass and fed it to the golden hamster in his sleeve, speaking out loud. Shichichi. The earth spirit mouse held the spirit grass and nibbled on it, its face full of bliss. Then it looked around, sensing the situation of heaven and earth spiritual materials. At this moment, Lu Qingshan frowned slightly, flipped his hand, and a red glowing yin-yang sensing talisman appeared in his palm. Though he hadn't accompanied Qingzhou Mountain on this trip, he had given a sensing talisman to his grandfather, Lu Yuanding, indicating that if Qingzhou Mountain encountered any danger in the Purple Shadow secret realm, they could seek his help. Half a month since entering the secret realm, this sensing talisman had remained silent. Its activation now signaled a high probability of a life-threatening danger. I want to see who is so blind. Lu Qingshan's eyes narrowed, he stored the Earth Spirit Mouse, and channeled spiritual power into the sensing talisman. Then he looked towards the northwest, lightly tapping his storage bag. The Tianxin Sound bamboo sword, resembling golden bamboo, appeared and softly glided like a swimming dragon. Lu Qingshan lightly tapped his foot and rose on his sword, turning into a sword shadow, shooting towards the direction of the sensing talisman, causing bursts of golden and jade sword sounds to ring through the air. Meanwhile, inside a dense forest, 6 monks of the Jin family were besieging Lu Miaofeng and 2 Lu family disciples. At this moment, the 3 were completely surrounded, unable to escape, and could only rely on talismans to barely hold on, continuously defending, creating a stalemate. Hehe, are you still waiting for rescue? 100 Birds Lake probably doesn't even dare enter Purple Shadow Mountain but just loiter around the periphery, picking up some spiritual medicine. Even if they receive the rescue, they cannot save you. It's a pity no one from Blue Lake Mountain came, otherwise we would definitely make that Lu Changxing taste the pain of losing a son. The 6 monks of the Jin family watched the struggling Lu Miaofeng and others, continuously speaking out. Previously, when Lu Changxing saw the monks from the Jin family come forward, he directly had his son Lu Chuanzhen encounter them and slew them all. The same was true for Golden Dragon Ridge. Due to the matter with White Tiger Mountain, they harbored deep hatred for Blue Lake Mountain, considering them irreconcilable. However, the Jin family cultivator outside the secret realm hadn't seen anyone from Blue Lake Mountain. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Thus, they let them encounter Qingzhou Mountain 100 Birds Lake and other families allied with Blue Lake Mountain, and slew them all. After all, families like Qingzhou Mountain 100 Birds Lake sending 3 or 4 late-stage energy refinement cultivators into the Purple Shadow secret realm was already their limit. If they all died in this secret realm, it would be a significant blow, indirectly weakening the strength of Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Miaofeng did not speak. He was naturally aware of the Bai family's situation. Suffering 1 death and 1 injury in the outer area, they hadn't entered the core area. But he had not sought help from the Bai family. Instead, he had sought help from his nephew Lu Qingshan. He wasn't clear about the exact strength of this nephew, having seen only a brief sword strike from him. But just that one strike made him realize there were always higher skies above one acknowledges. Boom boom boom. The orderly offensive of the 6 from the Jin family struck Lu Miaofeng's defensive magic artifact, causing his internal spiritual energy to continuously shake, his complexion turning pale. At this moment, Lu Miaofeng suddenly sensed a response from Lu Qingshan's side, immediately transmitted to his younger relatives. Hold on, Qingshan is already on his way. Qingshan, Lu Qingshan. Upon hearing this, the 2 instantly perked up. They knew their nephew, a cousin of the direct lineage of the Immortal sects, a disciple of the nascent soul Immortal, had strength far beyond their clan cultivators. Nephew Miaofeng, is it only Lu Qingshan coming? One of the Lu family disciples asked via transmission. He knew that Lu Qingshan was extraordinarily powerful. But it seemed difficult for one person alone to repel 6 from the Jin family. Qingshan's strength is extraordinary, comparable to Foundation establishment. Once he arrives, he will definitely be able to repel the 6 from the Jin family. Lu Miaofeng's voice was resolute, leaving no room for doubt. At this moment he had to instill confidence in them. Besides, he still had 2 second-ranked talismans in his storage bag. As long as Lu Qingshan arrived, he believed the 4 of them would be able to repel the 6 from the Jin family. Comparable to Foundation establishment. Both were shocked upon hearing this. After all, the gap between energy refinement and Foundation establishment was like a chasm. To be comparable to Foundation establishment while only in energy refinement, that was astonishing. Lu Miaofeng, if you are willing to surrender now, kneel and beg for mercy, we might be in a good mood and let you live. Continuing this way, you only have a path to death. Better to give up struggling and we might spare your lives. The few cultivators of the Jin family continued to speak. Their words were not truly expecting Lu Miaofeng to give in and beg. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 967. Young Master Lu Qingshan from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. It was, after all, a distraction tactic using these words. After all, the mental state of the cultivators during combat was extremely important. Once their minds were disturbed, they were prone to making mistakes. They did not want to expend too much energy fighting Lu Miaofeng and his two companions in the Purple Shadow Mountain. Thus, they chose this method to interfere with their mental spirits, seeking an opportunity to find a flaw and end the fight quickly. Boom, boom, boom. As time slowly passed, the faces of Lu Miaofeng and his two companions became paler and paler. One of them even had blood seeping from the corner of his mouth, appearing extremely unsteady. At this rate, the three of them were doomed. But even so, Lu Miaofeng did not give up and chose to escape alone using a talisman. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At that moment, Lu Miaofeng sensed the energy of the yin-yang sensing talisman closing in, and immediately transmitted a message to his juniors. Qingshan will be here soon, get ready. Yes, seventh brother. Uncle Miaofeng, don't worry, I can still hold on. Although the two were pale and weak, their eyes flashed with a fierce determination. Since they had dared to venture into the Purple Shadow secret realm, they were certainly not the type to fear death. Be cautious of their desperate counterattacks in their dying throes. The monk of the Jin family warned cautiously, not giving Lu Miaofeng and his companions any chance to counterattack. Oh. Be careful, someone's coming. Soon, one of the monks of the Jin family sensed an aggressive and piercing aura rushing towards them and loudly alerted the others. However, just as he finished speaking, another cold and compelling voice sounded, seeking death. A young man on a flying sword appeared, his expression cold, holding a golden magical sword. Without even exchanging greetings, he swung his sword at the five cultivators. His sword strike was domineering, bursting forth with endless piercing sword light, overwhelming the skies. Who is it? Not good. The monks of the Jin family, faced with the piercing sword light, were startled and hastily activated their talismans, attempting to block it. But the sword light, in an instant, focused into a single point like an antelope hanging its horns on a branch, fiercely drilling towards a monk of the Jin family who was only at the 7th level of energy refinement. With a splat, the sword light penetrated the heart of the monk of the Jin family, his throat gurgled with blood, and he fell with his eyes wide open in death. This display of sword energy formation startled the remaining 5 cultivators from Jinlong Ridge. Qingshan. Lu Miaofeng and his companions immediately looked towards the young sword cultivator with sharp eyebrows and brimming vigor, their expressions filled with surprise. They knew of Lu Qingshan's extraordinary strength, but they hadn't expected him to be this astounding. He had killed a man with a single strike upon arrival. CTH Novel F. Ire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This increased their chances of victory considerably. Take action. Lu Miaofeng didn't hesitate, made a prompt decision and shouted out, switching from defense to offense with the other two. Why do you seek to be our enemy, sir? If Jianghu Mountain has offered you any rewards, just withdraw and Jinlong Ridge will double them. The monks of the Jin family's expressions changed drastically, looking ugly. Although they had seen Lu Qingshan being sent here by a nascent soul immortal outside the secret realm, they did not recognize Lu Qingshan, nor were they aware of his relationship with Jianghu Mountain or why he would suddenly attack them. Thus, they hoped to make him retreat with offers of benefits and by invoking their family's reputation. Jinlong Ridge? Jinlong Ridge Jin family? Lu Qingshan, handsome with distinct features, raised his eyebrows slightly upon hearing their words. He remembered his grandfather mentioning that Jinlong Ridge had a feud with his family. Yes, we are indeed from the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. If you are willing to cease, we will surely reward you handsomely afterward. The monk of the Jin family said immediately, his expression carrying a tinge of proud arrogance. After all, as a false core family even beyond the Qingyun region, they had a certain reputation and influence. So be it, then you all can die. Lu Qingshan scoffed, his demeanor intensely commanding like a blazing sun, holding the magical sword, continuing his onslaught against the 5. Fellow Taoist, do you really intend to make enemies with Jinlong Ridge? Has Jinlong Ridge in any way offended you? The monk of the Jin family twitched in the corner of his eyes, his expression ugly, quickly taking out several talismans from his possession, activating them and yelling. Even though Lu Miaofeng and his companions were gravely injured. In this situation, they really had no confidence to handle both Lu Qingshan and Lu Miaofeng's group. Even if they could manage to kill Lu Miaofeng and his companions, they too would suffer heavy casualties and would not be able to continue exploring the secret realm. Remember, young master's family name is Lu, given name Qingshan from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Lu Qingshan stood upright on his flying sword, swinging his golden magical sword that emitted piercing sword lights, his voice cold, "Knowing my name you can die without regret." As soon as he finished talking, his Tianxin sound bamboo sword also transformed into a sword light, resembling a silver dragon, tearing through the air waves, attacking the five. This flying sword was a reward he had received from the sect's sword testing competition. It was a spiritual artifact flying sword with abilities like breaking techniques, sharpness and traceless sword shadows. It had never been used routinely, always kept as a trump card. Now, to quickly resolve the battle and ensure all five were slain, he unleashed both swords. What, Lu Qingshan from Blue Lake Mountain? Where is such a person in Blue Lake Mountain? The five were shocked and bewildered upon hearing this. Blue Lake Mountain, although not without its fame, the only renowned figures aside from the mountain lord Lu Changxing, were his wives, Dao companions. In terms of children, only Lu Chuanzhen at White Tiger Mountain, family head Lu Yun, and puppet master Lu Xianxia had some reputation and were known to the surrounding families. But they absolutely did not recall a sword cultivator named Lu Qingshan associated with a nascent soul immortal. Yet at this moment, the five had no time to ponder further. Boom, boom, boom. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 968. Young Master Lu Qingshan from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Chapter 968. Chapter 346. Young Master Lu Qingshan from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. The Gengjin Law sword was like a blazing sun, fierce and dominant, bursting forth with sharp and overbearing sword qi, striking directly at the defensive aura of the five men. The Tianxin sound bamboo sword was like a silver dragon, stirring up a layer of rolling sword qi that shimmered with golden jade musical waves, its edge sharp and its sword qi inhaling and exhaling, using the characteristic of the flying sword to pierce a hole in the aura and behead a cultivator of the Jin family at the 8th level of energy refinement. Jin Ming. The other four, seeing this, cried out in alarm. They had not expected that, with the five of them in such a state, Lu Qingshan's flying sword could still instantly kill one of them. At this moment they felt a rich sense of crisis. Hiss? Even though Lu Miaofeng had known early on about Lu Qingshan's strength, he was still incredibly shocked at this scene. Lest the cultivators of the Jin family fight back in desperation, he immediately activated a second-rank Thunderfire talisman from his storage bag, turning it into endless thunderous flames and charging at the remaining four men. Boom boom boom. In an instant the situation changed from defense to offense. Originally, 6 people from the Jin family were besieging the 3 members of the Lu Miaofeng party. But now, with Lu Qingshan arriving, they were directly caught in a pincer attack. Ah, damn Blue Lake Mountain. The cultivators of the Jin family roared in anger, filled with regret. They had not at all expected that this young man sent by the nascent soul immortal would actually come from Blue Lake Mountain. If they had known about Lu Qingshan's story earlier, they would have fought with all they had, even at the risk of serious injury, to kill the 3 Lu Miaofeng quickly, not giving Lu Qingshan time to arrive. But there is no medicine for regret in the world. At this time there was no time for them to regret. Boom boom boom. Facing such an overwhelming offensive, the defensive aura of the 4 from the Jin family was struggling to hold and the spiritual light was dimming. Puchi. The Tianxin sound bamboo sword was like a celestial being flying from the sky, its sword light crisscrossing, air currents flying about, finding the gap, and in an instant beheading another person. Ah, am not reconciled. Let's fight them to the death. The remaining 3 Jin family cultivators revealed despair in their eyes, knowing that in such a situation, the 3 of them could not even run away and would only die faster. They immediately looked ferociously at the Lu Miaofeng trio, wanting a fight to the bitter end. Be careful. Seeing this, Lu Miaofeng immediately used the last second-rank defense talisman in his bottom-of-the-box collection. He could see that now, as long as they interfered and maintained the situation, Lu Qingshan would be able to handle everything. Boom boom boom. Lu Qingshan saw the attack of the three from the Jin family, sneered coldly, and his hands formed a gesture, his fingers coming together like a sword, pointing forward. One could see the Gingjin Law sword drawing an arc in the sky, radiantly golden, slashing down fiercely. Boom. The three had just been fully resisting, managing to hold against Lu Qingshan's flying sword onslaught. But at this moment they were distracted, focusing on attacking, which instantly led to their defense being breached, their spiritual power and blood unstable, and their steps stumbled. Ch. The Gingjin Law sword was like a radiant golden sun, blasting and swallowing boundless sword light, heading straight for the three men. The Tianxin sound bamboo sword, like a wandering dragon, coiled around the three, looking for weak spots and then struck a lethal blow. Such masterful manipulation of the flying sword technique was truly exquisite, something many sword cultivators who had broken through to Foundation establishment could not achieve. Within a few breaths, 2 cultivators of the Jin family died under Lu Qingshan's flying sword. Am not reconciled. The last Jin family cultivator's face was filled with a miserable expression, roaring with resentment and unwillingness. Puchi. With silver sword light crisscrossing, the Tianxin sound bamboo sword like a roaming dragon, pierced through the heart of the last Jin family cultivator. Not reconciled? Being able to die at my hands, Lu Qingshan, is your honor the only thing worth remembering in your lives? Lu Qingshan's expression was cold and indifferent as he spoke. His palm lightly lifted, and the Tianxin sound bamboo sword returned to his hand like a roaming dragon. Thump. The monk of the Jin family's chest burst open in an instant. He violently spat out a mouthful of blood, died on the spot, and fell to the ground with eyes wide open, unable to close them even in death. Not far away, Lu Miaofeng and his 2 companions were staring dumbfounded at the scene. At this moment they deeply realized the gap between people. Qingshan, we owe you big time for coming just in time. Lu Miaofeng quickly came back to his senses, looked at Lu Qingshan and said. In his eyes he couldn't help but show a bit of awe. After all, Lu Qingshan's strength was so astonishing that they couldn't help but feel respectful. Hee, uncle, you are too kind. Lu Qingshan's face showed a hint of a smile as he spoke. Are you all okay? Although he knew Lu Miaofeng and the others, they weren't very close. Not even as close as the playmates of his childhood. We are fine. It's just excessive consumption of spiritual power, some minor injuries, Lu Miaofeng and the others hurriedly said. I have some healing medicine here. Lu Qingshan took out a porcelain bottle from his storage bag and handed it to the three, saying. The condition of the three also affected his following exploration in the secret realm. CTH Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. So he hoped they would recover soon. Under Lu Qingshan's care, the three began to heal and condition themselves. 2 days later, when they had nearly recovered, Lu Miaofeng handed over a rare spiritual medicine they had found to Lu Qingshan. He expressed that if they encountered any accidents in the secret realm, he hoped Lu Qingshan would take the harvest of the spiritual medicine back to Jianghu Mountain. Because they were well aware that the 3 of them would only delay and impact Lu Qingshan in the secret realm. If they acted together, the benefits they received could not be evenly divided. To avoid personal interests affecting family ties, they indicated that they were fine, and would soon leave Purple Shadow Mountain to mix some spiritual medicines in the outer areas. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan did not say much. He gave each of the 3 a second-rank talisman, told them to be careful, and then continued his solo adventure in the secret realm. Whenever he heard fighting nearby, he would go over to take a look and step forward to intervene. Outside the Purple Shadow secret realm. Lu Changxing became alert and opened his eyes. Not far away, an old Foundation establishment cultivator from Golden Dragon Ridge suddenly stood up with a grim and ugly expression on his face, utterly frustrated and furious. If it weren't for the numerous Foundation establishments around and several nascent soul immortals in the sky, he would have wished to vent his anger. Could it be that Xuanzhen and Qingshan encountered the cultivators of the Jin family? Lu Changxing saw this and stroked his chin, a hint of a smile appearing on his face. It was a pity that he was not in his true form. Otherwise, he would have liked to check on the situation with his neighbors. However, it was not necessary for him to worry, as immediately 2 Foundation establishment cultivators approached and inquired about the Jin family cultivator situation with concern. But this gesture only made the Jin family Foundation establishment's face grow uglier. With a flick of his sleeve, he controlled the spirit boat and soared into the sky. This scene surprised many bystanders. After all, although Golden Dragon Ridge wasn't a top-tier family force, it still belonged to the first tier. This time they had sent 6 energy refinement late-stage descendants to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, and their strengths were not to be underestimated. Now, with the Secret Realm exploration still ongoing and the Foundation establishment cultivator of the Gene family leaving with a grim face, it indicated that all 6 descendants had perished within the Secret Realm. This was astonishing indeed. Nevertheless, this was not the first occurrence of its kind, and others were merely surprised and more worried about their own descendants in the Secret Realm. They hoped that their families would have better luck and not encounter any deadly cultivators from the Spirit Taming Sect or the Heavenly Sword Sect. Source: Web Novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 969. Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. Chapter 969. Chapter 347. Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. Purple Shadow Secret Realm, inside a certain cave. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin had been consuming medicinal herbs all these days, stuffing their mouths full of valuable spirit grass, spiritual medicine, and spirit fruits, swallowing them whole and chewing vigorously. Though compared to alchemy, this method of ingesting spiritual medicine directly was quite wasteful. And the medicinal power was overbearing, filling the entire body, making it hard to digest and refine. Yet compared to elixir medicines, this way had a benefit. As long as your body could withstand and consume it, refining it, there wouldn't be any elixir toxicity or side effects. Lu Chuanjin knew his own condition, so he ate very steadily during this process, slowly refining it to solidify his foundation. Lu Pingan was at first reluctant to consume them, feeling quite pained. But as he ate more, he began to feel the effects. On one hand, his brother said they had too many spiritual medicines, and if they didn't eat more, they would have trouble handing them over when required and might have to throw them away. On the other hand, this way of directly consuming spiritual medicines was very suitable for him. Because the 100 Refinements treasure body art was itself a method of cultivation through the use of heavenly and earthly treasures. These treasures were not limited to just metallic spiritual ore. They also included spirit grass, spirit flowers, and spirit fruits as heaven and earth spiritual material. Therefore, for ordinary cultivators, spiritual medicine was more effectively used when refined into elixir medicines with the use of supporting ingredients, as the resultant pills were better for absorption and easier to refine. But for the 100 Refinements treasure body art, it was different. The 100 Refinements treasure body art required the use of raw and overbearing properties, energy and medicinal effects from heaven and earth spiritual material to forge the physical body. Once spiritual medicine was refined into elixir medicine, while easier to absorb and refine, the raw and overbearing effects of its medicinal properties would have all but faded away. Thus, as Lu Pingan continued to ingest and refine spiritual medicines, with the overbearing medicinal power surging through his limbs and organs, he could clearly feel his physical body continuously improving. He even noticed some mysterious changes in his physical body as his muscles and bones strengthened, his bone density increased and his marrow seethed. There gradually formed a callus-like thin membrane between his skin and bones. Ordinary technique attacks would be absorbed by this thin membrane. This effect was quite astonishing. Lu Pingan felt that his understanding of the 100 Refinements treasure body art was now exceeded. He had to ask his father later for advice to understand what was going on with his 100 Refinements treasure body art. Chuanjin, the secret realm should be ending in about 10 days, let's go out again and take a look, maybe we can still find some gains. Lu Pingan chewed on the spiritual medicine as he spoke. He now felt a surging power throughout his body, endless force that he wanted to release in a few exhilarating fights. Okay. Lu Chuanjin heard this and looked towards his elder brother, nodding his head. Then he packed up the formation, and the two of them left the cave mansion to continue searching for spiritual medicine. Perhaps because they had stayed in the cave for more than 10 days, the number of demon beasts nearby had decreased due to their previous hunting, causing them to encounter them less frequently. The two thus headed directly towards the summit of Purple Shadow Mountain. Generally, the closer to the center, the more and the rarer the spiritual medicines would be. Naturally, demon beasts would also be more formidable. However, even if a second-order monster beast appeared, it was unlikely to pose a threat to them now. In the billowing mist, occasionally a demon beast would emerge, but they were mostly killed by a few punches from Lu Pingan. Like this, 3 days passed. Boom. Through battle, Lu Pingan had nearly fully digested the accumulated spiritual medicines in his body, and his cultivation level had directly broken through to the 9th level energy refinement. Although not all the spiritual medicines he consumed could increase his cultivation level, most of them had that effect. So even without deliberate cultivation, as the spiritual medicines were digested and built up, his cultivation level naturally broke through at this moment. Congratulations, elder brother, on breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement. Lu Chuanjin saw this and smiled, congratulating him. It's all stacked up with spiritual medicines. Lu Pingan showed a bittersweet smile. If others knew he had consumed spiritual medicines worth tens of thousands, only to improve this much, they would certainly scold him for wastage. The heavenly and earthly treasures belong to those with virtue. It does not matter if they're stacked with spiritual medicines. But elder brother, when you return home, you need to refine your spiritual power a lot to solidify your foundation. Wait until there is no further progress in the foundation of your spiritual power, and then prepare for foundation establishment. Sir, the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chuanjin said to Lu Pingan. Previously, Uncle Chu Chang'e had come and spoken to him about various cultivation knowledge. One of the things he mentioned was that the foundation was of utmost importance. If you didn't lay a solid foundation in the early stages, you would later need to spend tens or even hundreds of times more to make up for it. Such as the Tao Foundation in the foundation establishment stage, the Golden Core in the core formation stage, and the Nascent Soul in the nascent soul stage. Right, I know. Lu Pingan nodded. Although he was far ahead in terms of body refinement, he knew that the foundation of cultivation was the true path, determining how far he could go in the future. There are still many top-tier techniques at home. Elder brother should try a few. Maybe there's one more suitable for you than the Purple True Solar Scripture. Lu Chuanjin continued. His own previous cultivation method had also been the Purple True Solar Scripture. Before, the Purple True Solar Scripture, being an exquisite level cultivation method, was indeed not bad. But from his current perspective, it seemed somewhat lacking. When it came to foundation establishment and core formation, this method would severely hold Lu Pingan back. Right, okay, I'll ask father. Lu Pingan felt a warmth in his heart and nodded with a smile. Initially, he practiced the Purple True Solar Scripture because the results of his sword technique were unsatisfactory, so he picked up this cultivation method. Now, hearing what Lu Chuanjin had said, he planned to ask his father for advice about the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, and also to see if he had any suggestions. Amid their conversation, Lu Pingan plucked the nearby spiritual medicine, casually bled and dissected the demon beast's body, placed the valuable materials into his storage bag, and continued towards the mountain summit. Source: Web Novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 970, Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. Chapter 970, Chapter 347. Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. One day later, the two were about to reach the summit, when they saw a cave ahead. Such caves usually contain rare heavenly and earthly treasures. Of course, they also tend to harbor danger, often occupied by fierce demon beasts. Chuanjin, stay behind me and be careful, Lu Pingan called out to his younger brother before striding towards the cave. Lu Chuanjin nodded, not intending to overreach. This was how the two had traveled thus far. After they entered the cave, they hadn't walked far before they heard intense fighting noises coming from ahead. Someone's already here. Lu Pingan, hearing the commotion, shook his head and gestured for Lu Chuanjin to leave. Big brother, the sounds seem a bit off, Lu Chuanjin commented, his expression growing tense. It seems like a massive brawl, very intense, Lu Pingan remarked after listening carefully. He felt that at least 10 or more people were fighting, not just a skirmish between 2 or 3. With so much activity, it must be something out of the ordinary, probably a collective action by an immortal sect here, Lu Chuanjin said, his eyes narrowing. He had observed the area outside the secret realm briefly before. Apart from the 4 great immortal sects bringing 20 to 30 disciples each, the others had at most 10 people. So the battle at hand was definitely a collective combat of an immortal sect. Since we're here, might as well see what's going on, it won't affect us. Besides, if the Purple Shadow secret realm opens again in the future, we could record the details and report back to the family, Lu Chuanjin said. His eyes narrowed at the sound of the fierce battle, suggesting this plan. Hearing this, Lu Pingan helplessly nodded in agreement. Is this a demon tree? The two reached the end of the cave and immediately saw a basin ahead. This basin was very peculiar, surrounded on all sides by jagged rocks. And in the center of the basin stood a purple giant tree almost 10 to 12 meters thick. The tree was covered in cracks, exuding a vast and ancient aura, like a colossal pillar supporting the heavens, connecting the earth and sky, standing more than 30 meters tall. The huge canopy, similar in color to the mist of the Purple Shadow secret realm, was hazy and obscured the sky, making it difficult to discern clearly. At this moment, 8 disciples from the Heavenly Sword sect dressed in sword cultivator attire were fighting fiercely with this demon tree. The ground was ravaged by thick tree roots, like earth dragons, constantly attacking these sword cultivators. Besides that, there were all kinds of bizarre-looking demon beasts. These beasts didn't seem alive but appeared to be controlled by the demon tree, with plant roots bursting out of their bodies as they fearlessly attacked the Heavenly Sword sect disciples, creating a very intense battle scene. So this is what happens when a tree turns into a demon. Both Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin were greatly shocked upon seeing the demon tree. It was not only their first time seeing a plant become a demon, but also their first time seeing such an enormous piece of wood, a tree demon, making them feel very insignificant. However, as shocking as the scene was, they could see that this type of tree demon, compared to other demon beasts, had a clearly fatal weakness. Unable to move and fearful of fire, it could only wait for its demise. Even though the plant demon was very powerful, possessing second-rank strength, it had no choice but to face a dead end against the combined assault of the Heavenly Sword sect cultivators with their flames ablaze. A second-rank plant demon. To become a demon, this tree must be no ordinary one. It must be of the heaven and earth spiritual plant grade. Lu Chuanjin said thoughtfully, looking at the massive tree demon in the basin. He had previously heard from his mother about the heavenly longevity technique. He knew that under his father's arrangement, his mother had already started cultivating this technique. But he wanted to procure a third-rank heaven and earth spiritual plant as a future safeguard for his sister, Lu Caijin. Because unlike himself, his sister wasn't that interested in cultivation on a regular basis. Even after consuming a heaven-replenishing elixir and advancing her spiritual route to 5th grade, she only put in effort for a while before sliding back into laxity and playfulness. As a brother, although he wanted to say something, he understood that his sister's temperament really wasn't suited for the cultivation world. Even with diligent cultivation, her prospects would be limited. So he thought of preparing a heaven and earth spiritual plant for her as a fallback for the future. Seeing the tree demon now, he couldn't help but be tempted. CTH Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But realizing the sheer size of the tree demon, Lu Chuanjin knew it would be impossible to take it away. He continued to look for seedlings around the tree demon, hoping to find one. But despite looking all around, he saw no seedlings. Ha! Lu Chuanjin exhaled lightly, ready to turn and leave. But then he noticed his elder brother staring at a Heavenly Sword sect female cultivator with slender eyes and crimson lips, a clear face, a high ponytail and an air of vibrant heroism. Lu Chuanjin naturally remembered her. She was his elder brother Lu Pingan's first love. Although the female cultivator had considerable strength, with a 9th level energy refinement cultivation level, she seemed somewhat hard-pressed under the assault of the tree demon's roots and a demon beast. Big brother, why not play the hero to save the beauty? Lu Chuanjin teased. The tree demon is already showing signs of defeat. Lu Pingan shook his head and said in a low voice. With the current situation, it wouldn't make a difference whether he went to help or not. Besides, stepping forward to help without reason might seem hard to explain. Just then, Lu Chuanjin suddenly noticed a Heavenly Sword sect disciple, having slain a demon beast and cremated it with fire. A purple, crystal-like seed flew from the ashes into the hands of the disciple. What's this? The seed of the tree demon? His eyes narrowing in thought. He whispered to Lu Pingan, Big brother, did you see the seed that appeared after the beast was burned to ashes? Source, web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 971. Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. Chapter 971. Chapter 347. Demon Tree Seed, Your First Love Has Been Attacked. Seed, are you talking about that purple, crystalline object? Lu Pingan said in astonishment. I suspect that it's the seed of a tree demon. Father has a cultivation technique named the Heavenly Longevity Technique, which can refine a heaven and earth spirit plant into a life-bound spiritual root. Lu Quanzhen's eyes narrowed slightly as he spoke softly. Xianxia, you mean? Lu Pingan immediately understood what his brother meant. Upon hearing the effects of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, he too felt a surge of astonishment and thought the cultivation technique was quite miraculous. Whether it's the tree demon's seed or not, I think we should grab a few and take a look. Didn't Father instruct us before, that if we come across any rare spiritual medicines or heaven and earth spirit plants, we should bring them back? If that purple seed really is the tree demon's seed, it would definitely be a huge gain. Lu Qianzhen said lowly, looking at the situation ahead. All right. Lu Pingan looked at the several bizarre demon beasts fighting ahead, preparing to make a move. With his current combat prowess, seizing a few demon beasts from the fray would not be difficult. But perhaps because his first love was on the battlefield, he felt somewhat embarrassed to make a move and reluctant to raise his hand. Sha sha sha. The purple demon tree suddenly shook, its canopy rustling loudly and mist swirling. Numerous purple leaves fluttered down, slashing towards the people of the Heavenly Sword sect. Shio shio shio. The leaves whirled chaotically, brimming with intent to kill. The trunk of the tree demon had already been completely set ablaze, and at this moment, it appeared to be in its death throes. Facing the flurry of purple leaves, Qin moved her flying sword, creating a net of sword chi. But her demon beast opponent's body suddenly exploded, countless tendrils appearing and whipping towards her, sending her flying with coughed blood from her mouth. Big brother, stop hesitating. Lu Qianzhen called out, urging him to stop being indecisive. Your first love is getting beaten up. Upon hearing his brother's urging, Lu Pingan hesitated no longer. His footing spurred him forward, his entire being like a streak of golden light, bursting forth and appearing in front of Qin in an instant. Following that, his blood surged and he raised his right arm and delivered a powerful punch onto the bizarre demon beast, completely exploding its body. Eh? Who is this man? This scene left Qin and several other disciples from the Heavenly Sword sect shocked. They had taken notice of Lu Pingan and Lu Qianzhen earlier. But in such a situation they couldn't spare the attention to care for others. Moreover, they were confident that these two couldn't interfere with them. But now, seeing Lu Pingan punch a demon beast to death, they couldn't help but be dumbfounded. They secretly thought, where did this loose cultivator come from, with such astonishing fighting strength? I'm only interested in the seeds within the body of these demon beasts and won't vie for your other spoils. Lu Pingan said to everyone. As he spoke, he seemed to feel that it wasn't quite right and worried they wouldn't believe him, so he continued, as a reward I can help you deal with this tree demon. Thank you. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that moment, Qin got up from the ground, wiping the fresh blood from her lips, and expressed her gratitude to Lu Pingan. It's no trouble at all, no need to thank me. Lu Pingan said somewhat awkwardly. He then searched the crushed body of the demon beast in front of him and found an oval seed about the size of a thumb, emanating a purple, crystalline luster. He pocketed the seed and once again took a step, his entire body shooting out like a cannonball and striking another demon beast, his punch shattering its body into pieces, astonishing the sword cultivators on the field. It was known that sword cultivators were famous for their attacking prowess, claiming to be second to none in terms of aggression. Yet the demon beasts they had been struggling to slay were now effortlessly pulverized by Lu Pingan's mere punch. After annihilating several demon beasts, Lu Pingan directly launched himself towards the tree demon. Boom boom boom. Punches like the drums of gods and demons pounded against the demon tree, thundering loudly and causing wood chips to explode. Facing such an onslaught, the demon tree swayed rustlingly, the ground trembled, and thick root tendrils like that of an earth dragon appeared, whipping through the air and smashing towards Lu Pingan. Yet, Lu Pingan, faced with this aggressive attack, neither dodged nor evaded, meeting it head-on, swinging his fists, causing those roots to burst apart. The already crumbling demon tree soon fell silent under Lu Pingan's assault. Adjacent to the action, Qin, with her expression cold, watched Lu Pingan's silhouette. The more she watched his way of fighting, the more familiar it seemed. Frowning, she felt an increasing sense of familiarity. She once knew someone who fought just like this. Moreover, the movements, gestures, and silhouettes of the two shared seemed remarkably alike. Many thanks to this Taoist for the assistance. At that moment, a cultivator from the Heavenly Sword sect bowed in thanks towards Lu Pingan. Although the disciples of the Immortal sects were arrogant and looked down on loose cultivators, the main reason was still strength. Someone like Lu Pingan, who could explode demon beasts with a punch and burst demon trees with his fists, did not fall into the category they disdained. In fact, some semblance of respect could be seen in their eyes when they looked towards Lu Pingan. Everyone's too kind. Lu Pingan bowed in return. We have yet to ask for your name, Taoist, and where you come from? A Heavenly Sword sect disciple curiously inquired, wanting to know Lu Pingan's identity and origin. And Ping, just a loose cultivator. Lu Pingan reported the alias he was using for this trip. Hearing the name, Qin slightly furrowed her brows, her expression turning somewhat peculiar as she looked towards Lu Pingan. That's because the name bore a resemblance to that of an old acquaintance of hers. She stepped forward towards Lu Pingan to express her gratitude again. Thank you for your assistance just now. The lady is too polite. Lu Pingan said with a smile. Noticing her poor complexion, he took out a bottle of healing pills from his storage bag and handed it to her. I have some healing pills here. Lady? Qin, upon hearing Lu Pingan's address and this gesture, didn't reach out to take the pills but instead looked at him with a furrowed brow, saying, I feel like you're somewhat familiar. Have we met before? Lu Pingan's heart skipped a beat, not expecting Qin to be so perceptive. He immediately explained that he had been cultivating in the mountains all along, fighting with demon beasts day in and day out, and seldom went out. It's just a feeling that you seem familiar, as if I've seen you before. Qin continued to look directly at Lu Pingan as if trying to discern something from his face. I see. Lu Pingan was slightly taken aback, then smiled and nodded his head, bowing to everyone present. Since the matter is resolved, I bid you all farewell. Lu Pingan. Qin, witnessing Lu Pingan's Jianghu-like demeanor and actions, felt an increasing sense of recognition and directly called out loud. The nearby Heavenly Sword sect cultivators were taken aback by this, as if recognizing something different in the situation. Lu Pingan, feeling as if he had been struck by heavenly thunder, stiffened. Then he turned back and said, My name isn't Ping, the lady must have mistaken me for someone else. Upon hearing this, Qin's eyebrows raised, her eyes clear and incisive. She looked at Lu Pingan's retreating back and said directly, Whether you're Lu Pingan or not, if you happen to meet him, you can tell him that Qin has joined the Heavenly Sword sect and he can write to her if there's anything. Although Lu Pingan had no spiritual root and was unable to cultivate, her instincts told her that this person was Lu Pingan. Lu Pingan sighed inwardly upon hearing this, not sure of how to respond. But with the thought of his own spiritual root or the lack thereof, he eventually stepped forward, leapt up and returned to Lu Quanzhen's side at the cave entrance, whispering softly, Let's go. Source, web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 972. The Secret Realm Ends, Come to the Heavenly Sword Sect within 10 years. Chapter 972, Chapter 348. The Secret Realm Ends, Come to the Heavenly Sword Sect within 10 years. Big brother, it appears that Miss Qin has always remembered you. Lu Xianxia and Lu Pingan walked out of the cave and he spoke up. Although he hadn't come forward just now, he had overheard their conversation. He knew that the woman named Qin had recognized his elder brother. Although his brother's disguise techniques were only average, making it easy for flaws to be spotted, the fact that they hadn't seen each other for many years and she could still recognize him immediately under these circumstances meant the memory was deep and the affection extraordinary. Lu Pingan nodded. He naturally knew he had been recognized. He guessed it was probably his fighting style, the way he addressed the lady, and the act of giving her elixir medicines that felt familiar to her and made her spot the flaws, thus prompting her to speak out and test him. Then came the moment she called out his name, and his mental spirit faltered, effectively an indirect admission. Sigh. Thinking about these things, Lu Pingan sighed deeply, feeling he had been far too careless and his state of mind was still lacking. Since that's the case, why didn't Big Brother admit it? Lu Qianxia said so. Lu Pingan shook his head but didn't reply. Is Big Brother worried he might bring trouble to our family? Lu Qianxia narrowed his eyes and continued. Although Lu Pingan had attained such prowess only after over 10 years of cultivation, which was astonishing and could potentially bring trouble to Bai Lake Mountain, he felt the reason was not so simple. Didn't father say sometimes we ought to be bold? And this Miss Qin probably doesn't know about our family situation, right? Lu Chuanjin said so. Forget it, Chuanjin. Lu Pingan patted his hand, signaling him to stop. I'm sorry, big brother. Lu Chuanjin nodded, understanding that his elder brother might have other serious matters difficult to discuss, which made it inappropriate to recognize each other. The reasons are something father probably understands. Lu Chuanjin narrowed his eyes, thinking of the words outside the secret realm where their father had encouraged Lu Pingan to boldly pursue, as if he had anticipated all this. He didn't think much about this aspect and planned to discuss it later with their father. After all, having spent time with Lu Pingan these days, he had grown to appreciate his responsible and committed big brother. He didn't want his brother to harbor any regrets in his long life. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin continued to search Purple Shadow Mountain for heaven and earth spiritual materials. It might have been that many people had already visited the summit at this time and the more conspicuous spiritual medicines had been picked, so they didn't harvest much. Thus, as their time in the secret realm neared its end, Lu Chuanjin took out the family token from the storage bag, infused it with spiritual power, and sent a message to Lu Qingshan, preparing to rendezvous and hand over the spiritual medicines. After a moment, the token responded, and the two tokens formed an invisible force, resonating from a distance. Let's go, big brother, to meet with Qingshan, Lu Chuanjin said to his elder brother. All right. Lu Pingan nodded in response, very curious about this sibling he had never met. After all, he had asked Lu Chuanjin several times whether they should meet with Lu Qingshan. But Lu Chuanjin had said that this brother, despite seeming easygoing, was actually quite proud. The purpose of this trip to Purple Shadow's secret realm was for self-improvement. Together they might hinder and delay each other's progress. So Lu Pingan had not contacted him until now. Using the tokens, they spent about a day before they saw Lu Qingshan, who had starry brows and a grand demeanor, dressed in a Jianghu sect magical robe, and holding a golden magical sword. 17th brother? Lu Qingshan looked toward Lu Chuanjin, raising his brows as he greeted him. Then his eyes shifted toward Lu Pingan, wanting to know who he was. As a sword cultivator and due to his mastery of sword heart clarity from training in sword charging bull's might, his insight was sharply honed. He could faintly sense that Lu Pingan embodied a fierce beast-like physique. Just standing in front of him felt like facing a brewing volcano, ready to erupt at any moment, giving him an inexplicable sense of danger. Qingshan. Lu Chuanjin nodded and greeted, his hand gently brushing his face, removing the disguise. Then pointing to Lu Pingan beside him, he smiled and said, "This is our big brother, Lu Pingan, whom you've not met since you've been away. Xianxia the novel underscore. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Qingshan hello." Lu Pingan also removed his disguise and smiled as he introduced himself. Then he sized up Lu Qingshan before him. He had glimpsed this younger brother from a distance outside the secret realm before. But now, in close proximity, seeing the sharp and unparalleled spirit of Lu Qingshan was still a bit surprising. Because previously, among the disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect, he had not sensed such a fierce and soaring sword chi. This sword chi, seemingly emanating from his very bones, made him understand what a true sword cultivar was. His brother, it seems, would be recognized as an extraordinary sword cultivator wherever he went. Big brother Lu Pingan? Although Lu Qingshan had never met Lu Pingan, he still knew of this elder brother. He hadn't expected that the person before him who gave him a sense of danger was actually his own big brother. Wasn't his big brother without a spiritual root, sent away in the mundane world since young? Lu Qingshan didn't think further and looked at the Lu Pingan before him, his lips curving up slightly into a smile. He bowed and said, "Big brother, nice to finally meet." After briefly catching up, Lu Chuanjin took out a prepared spirit plant bag saying, "Qingshan, as the secret realm is about to end, I'm going to take this batch of spiritual medicines and give them to you to take out. Otherwise, big brother and I going out might draw attention and cause trouble." Lu Chuanjin spoke thus. This matter had already been discussed at home between the two. Source, web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 973. The End of the Secret Realm, Come to Heavenly Sword Sect Within 10 Years. Chapter 973, Chapter 348. The End of the Secret Realm, come to Heavenly Sword Sect within 10 years. He had not anticipated that this journey into the secret realm would yield such riches. Good. Lu Qingshan nodded in agreement, accepted the spirit plant bag, and with a cursory sweep from his divine sense, his eyebrows suddenly rose in surprise and bewilderment. Seventh brother, it seems like you and our eldest brother have made quite a haul this time. The loot inside was not much less than his own. Moreover, this was just part of the spoils for Lu Chuanjin and Lu Pingan. However, considering Lu Quanzhen's strength and having such an elder brother who gave him a sense of danger, such achievements seemed reasonable. After all, with their strength, as long as they did not encounter groups of immortal sect's disciples, they were practically unrivaled. Hee, just a bit of luck. Lu Chuanjin said with a laugh, sharing some of the situations inside the secret realm with Lu Qingshan. Before this, he had regarded the Purple Shadow secret realm as a very dangerous place. But it was only after truly entering that he realized the realm was indeed dangerous, but the danger was limited. Search * the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Or rather, when your combat power reaches a certain level and you do not fear the slaughter between cultivators, then the danger of the secret realm becomes quite low. For example, for him, there was a certain danger. But for someone like Lu Pingan with his combat power, as long as he did not court death, there was hardly any danger. One could only say that, no matter what, the Purple Shadow secret realm was still just a realm for energy-refining cultivators. After chatting casually for a while, the three of them found a place to wait for the end of the secret realm. After all, to continue exploring at this time was unlikely to yield any major discoveries. To hope for a major discovery, one would have to snatch it from somebody else's hands. But at this point, most loose cultivators and small family clans already hid in the outer regions, waiting for the secret realm to end, avoiding the last bit of greed. Outside the Purple Shadow secret realm. The secret realm is almost at an end. Lu Changxing opened his eyes and looked toward the altar's center, a calm void portal. A month had gone by since the secret realm had opened. Through the system he knew that all his three sons were safe and sound. And his eldest son, Lu Pingan, had broken through to the 9th level of energy refinement. This pleasantly surprised him, and he was eager to know what fortuitous encounters his son had had in the secret realm. At this moment, besides Lu Changxing, many cultivators waiting outside turned their eyes to the void portal in the center of the altar, the nascent soul immortals of the 4 great immortal sects. Everyone was eager to know the state of their own family members, what gains they had made. An hour later. Open. The nascent soul immortals from the 4 great immortal sects came to the central altar with dignified expressions, took out their purple gold tokens in front of the portal, and infused their nascent soul level mana into them. Hum hum hum. In an instant, the previously unrippled void portal suddenly filled with an ancient and time-worn aura, forming a black hole vortex in the middle. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In no time, figures began flying out of the portal from the secret realm. Lu Changxing immediately saw his son, Lu Qingshan, emerging from the portal on a flying sword. His face was stern, his figure erect, and he stood proudly upon the flying sword, unscathed, which made Lu Changxing inwardly nod with approval. As time passed, more and more cultivators came out of the secret realm. It was noticeable that most loose cultivators were not faring well. They were either seriously injured or in a state of mental and physical collapse, with pale faces and chaotic auras. As for the disciples of large family forces and immortal sects, most were in much better condition. However, there were still quite a few in poor shape. Lu Changxing even saw a few cultivators faint on the spot as soon as they left the secret realm, barely clinging to life. Meanwhile, the 4 great immortal sects began to collect spiritual medicines. The 4 nascent soul immortals had their disciples bring smell spirit beasts to inspect everyone's storage bags to ensure no private hoarding of spiritual medicines had taken place. Lu Qingshan, as long as you agree to one thing for me, I'll waive your contribution from this trip to the secret realm. At this moment, Yujin Jinren, seeing Lu Qingshan stepping forward to deposit his spiritual medicines, spoke out. His smell spirit beast had detected a bountiful supply of spiritual medicines in Lu Qingshan's storage bag and spirit plant bag. But compared to these medicines, he valued Lu Qingshan as a person more. He wanted to use Lu Qingshan as a whetstone to sharpen his own sect's disciples. Lu Qingshan looked surprised, thinking to himself if such a good deal existed. He then bowed and asked, "May I ask, what does the immortal wish?" His storage bag and spirit plant bag contained no ordinary loot. If he could avoid making a deposit, it would be a fortune. Just promise to come to my Heavenly Sword sect for a competition after you've achieved foundation establishment within the next 10 years, said Eugene Jinren, dressed in a simple white robe, his face stern, speaking plainly. Is it that simple? Lu Qingshan was momentarily taken aback. He had already been considering challenging the Heavenly Sword sect. And now Eugene Jinren was willing to waive his secret realm contributions for such a small matter. He did not agree immediately. Looking up at his master, he wanted to know if the true words of this immortal had any other implications. This matter is for you to decide, said Tianyuan True Immortal with a slight nod. Hearing this, Lu Qingshan immediately bowed. Thank you, Immortal. Once I achieve foundation establishment, I will surely come to the Heavenly Sword sect to fulfill our agreement within the next 10 years. Good. Eugene Jinren nodded and didn't require him to swear an oath against the heart demon, simply signaling that he could leave. Thank you, Immortal. Lu Qingshan once again bowed his thanks, then controlled his sword to his master's side. The nascent soul immortals from Qingyun sect, Wuxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect, witnessing this scene, said nothing. After all, since Eugene Jinren had spoken, they naturally did not dare to offend him. Besides, Tianyuan True Immortal was watching. For them to speak out at this time would appear petty. Naturally, they would not do something that would offend someone for no reason, deciding instead to be gracious. Source: Web Novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 974. The End of the Secret Realm, Come to Heavenly Sword Sect within 10 years. Chapter 974. Chapter 348. The End of the Secret Realm, Come to Heavenly Sword Sect within 10 years. Eugene Jinren, other true immortals, Tianyuan bids farewell. After speaking a few words with Lu Qingshan, Tianyuan True Immortal bowed to Eugene Jinren and the others. He then placed Lu Qingshan on his gourd, transformed into a divine rainbow, and skyrocketed into the 9 heavens gang wind. Damn it, who exactly is it? At this moment, on the huge divine vessel pulled by the 9-headed wind thunder steed, the elder ancestor of the Su family watched the cultivators continuously emerging from the secret realm, his expression gloomy and ugly. Since all the soul plates in his family's storage bags had shattered and his own descendants had all died in the secret realm, he had been observing the 4 great immortal sects and other major nascent soul family forces. But through his observation he noticed that although other families had suffered casualties, they were not severe and were similar to previous years. This puzzled him greatly. He didn't know who had killed his family's descendants. It should be noted that the descendants of their beast-taming Su family were always accompanied by spiritual beasts, had combat power far superior to others of their level, and were not much worse than the disciples of the immortal sects. Thus, regardless of which power made a move against his family, a fight to the death on both sides would inevitably result in significant losses. Yet among these top-tier powers, the Spirit-Taming sect, which suffered the most, had only 7 deaths. The Spirit-Taming sect and my Su family have always had good relations. Even if they are reluctant to see my Su family rise, they would definitely not be the first to strike against us. Patriarch Su pondered in his heart, dismissing the possibilities one by one. Patriarch Su, how come I haven't seen any of your family's disciples? Could they all have perished in this secret realm? At that moment, the family patriarch from the Shangguan family looked at Patriarch Su and jokingly said. However, as much as he spoke in jest, he was quite surprised to see that not a single descendant of the Su family had emerged from the secret realm. Because among these top-tier powers, such a situation had not occurred for many years. Patriarch Zu's face darkened as he snorted coldly and remained silent. Seeing this, the false core patriarch of the Shangguan family immediately stopped teasing. After all, if the descendants of the Su family had truly all died in the secret realm, a few provocative words might actually provoke Patriarch Su into a fight. And if they started fighting, he was really no match for Patriarch Su. Could it be that it wasn't the immortal sect forces who acted? Was it simply danger within the secret realm itself? Patriarch Su frowned deeply, pondering in his heart, feeling that this was the only explanation. But he himself didn't believe in this explanation. Because the Purple Shadow secret realm, having been open for nearly 1,000 years, was now used as a training ground, and there was supposedly nothing particularly dangerous left inside. Could it be loose cultivators? A ridiculous thought crossed Patriarch Zu's mind. He immediately shook his head, dismissing the idea. After all, How could a loose cultivator possibly have the ability to kill off all his family's descendants? Damn it. Sir, the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Patriarch Su felt irritable and annoyed, then out of sight, out of mind, he rode away on the nine-headed wind thunder steed. At the same time, Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin emerged from the secret realm. The two queued up to hand over the spiritual medicine. With the smell spirit beast present, no one dared to secretly keep any spiritual medicine. Everyone adhered to the rules. If anyone was found to be hiding rare spiritual medicine, they wouldn't be executed on the spot as a warning, but they would be reduced to mining slaves. So much. Two loose cultivators actually had such a harvest. The supervising disciple from the Wuxia sect was somewhat surprised and puzzled when he saw the pile of spiritual medicine. Although Lu Chuanjin had given most of the spiritual medicine to Lu Qingshan, but the remaining spiritual medicine was still considered exceptional among loose cultivators. However, they didn't say much about this. After collecting half and checking that there was no must-trade spiritual medicine, they let the two men go. Father. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin approached Lu Changxing. Although his two sons had changed their appearances with disguise and camouflage, Lu Changxing still recognized them at a glance. He patted their shoulders, smiling and said, "It seems that you both had a good harvest this trip." "Indeed, not bad," Lu Chuanjin said with a smile. "All right, let's talk about the details of the harvest when we get back." Lu Changxing spoke, taking out a spirit boat from the storage ring. The palm-sized spirit boat surged with green light and instantly transformed into a small boat more than a yard long, taking his two sons back with him. As for Lu Qingshan, he had just spotted him returning with Tianyuan True Immortal. And he had also seen that Lu Qingshan had apparently said something to the True Immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, as he didn't hand over any spiritual medicine. He couldn't help but marvel internally at the power the nascent soul immortal had personally delivered him, earning some respect even from the four great immortal sects. Just as Lu Changxing was piloting the spirit boat, taking his two sons home, Patriarch Su felt more and more aggrieved, feeling utterly humiliated. And to return in such a manner without any explanation. Wait a minute. At that moment, Patriarch Su remembered that on his trip here, he had bestowed a spiritual artifact, the Black Dragon Shears. This Black Dragon Shears was forged from his early years of slaying a Black Jiao, forming an entire set of spiritual artifacts. Although this set had already been bestowed one by one, he still had the Black Jiao Demon Core refined into a Black Jiao bead left in his hands. As long as the Black Dragon Shears were not far from him, and not lost within the Purple Shadow secret realm, he could sense their location through the Black Jiao bead. If it's in the hands of an immortal sect disciple, I could just claim the spiritual artifact back. Patriarch Zu's eyes gleamed, murmuring to himself. At this point he didn't care about losing face anymore. Because this incident had already caused him to lose face completely. Soon, when this matter would spread, even the other families would ridicule his beast-taming Su family. Thus, this matter must be resolved. Patriarch Su held a fist-sized pitch-black treasure bead in his hand. He made a gesture incantation with his hands on the Black Jiao bead and then spat a mouthful of essence blood on it, attempting to sense the location of the Black Dragon Shears. Huh? Patriarch Zu's eyes emitted a sharp light as he looked towards the southwest direction. He not only sensed the location of the Black Dragon Shears, but also noticed that they were moving rapidly. Isn't it the four great immortal sects? Then who is it? Patriarch Zu's expression turned cold. Immediately, he rode the nine-headed wind thunder steed as swiftly as lightning, rolling towards the direction where the Black Dragon Shears were located. Source: Web Novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 975. False Core Immortal Nothing Special. Chapter 975. Chapter 349. False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. A spirit boat emanating in azure radiance passed through Ziyun Gorge. Atop the spirit boat, Lu Changxing, clad in a mystic robe, stood tall and slender as he listened to his son, Lu Chuanjin, recount the journey through the secret realm. He knew not only had Lu Pingan gained a promotion, but Lu Chuanjin also reaped no small rewards. With a now far more solid foundation, he could return and consolidate his gains, preparing to tackle foundation establishment. Chuanjin, did you encounter monks from the Jin family? Lu Changxing asked aloud. He had seen Foundation establishment cultivators from Golden Dragon Ridge leave in a huff and knew that all 6 Jin family members had perished in the secret realm, suspecting his sons were involved. This wasn't our doing, brother and I. Lu Qingshan was the one who encountered the Jin family, Lu Chuanjin said. They had discussed it with Lu Qingshan earlier and learned of the Jin family's misfortune. Thinking to himself that the Jin family was indeed unlucky. Otherwise he and Lu Pingan might not have run into the Jin family's monks at all. Qingshan. Lu Changsheng's brow rose in surprise, not expecting that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had single-handedly slain the monks from the Jin family. It seemed Lu Qingshan's abilities exceeded what he had known. After all, repelling 6 people and killing 6 people were not the same concept. Father, I reckon it won't be long before people come to know of Qingshan's deeds, and the Jin family might connect this to our family. Lu Chuanjin looked towards Lu Changsheng and said. Lu Qingshan's actions had been highly conspicuous, leading Lu Chuanjin to realize that sooner or later, his younger brother's information would gradually come to the knowledge of other family forces, and they would remember. If the Jin family learned that Lu Qingshan was a son of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, they would surely suspect and speculate on this matter. Yet what truly worried him was not this. Another Lu Qingshan had now emerged in the family. If in a few years Lu Pingan came into his own, then Lu Wangshu or perhaps some younger siblings he didn't yet know about began to rise, it was likely his family would entirely enter the public eye, attracting a lot of trouble. Because no power would willingly watch a family with several geniuses exist. Such a family, once allowed to grow and rise, would be truly terrifying. Haha, what could the Jin family possibly do even if they find out? Lu Changxing said unconcernedly. He had instructed his sons to act thus without fear of how the Jin family might respond. Already the 2 families had been tripping each other up behind the scenes, just never bringing the struggle out into the open. Even if the Jin family came to know, they could only swallow their frustration. As father and son conversed, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a dreadful spiritual pressure approaching. His brows knitted together and he looked suddenly to the side. Father, what's wrong? Lu Chuanjin, seeing his father's expression, looked in the same direction. But he saw nothing. However, shortly after a few breaths, he saw rolling, surging mist up ahead, accompanied by the sounds of thundering wind. As the commotion within the mist grew louder, Lu Quanzhen's complexion drastically changed. Damn, that's the beast-taming Su family. Earlier, outside the secret realm, Lu Chuanjin had seen the commotion of several nascent soul-level family forces arriving. Among them, the beast-taming Su family made quite a spectacle, a divine vessel pulled by 9 second-rank wind thunder steeds, traversing with thunderous momentum and overwhelming the skies, a truly formidable display. The commotion from afar was exactly like when the Su family had arrived at Purple Shadow's secret realm. Thus, Lu Chuanjin instantly realized that this was most likely the beast-taming Su family coming to cause trouble for them. Why would the beast-taming Su family come after us when I've destroyed every token, keepsake and anything suspicious from the Su family's storage bags, throwing them off a cliff? And I've even used a second-rank purification talisman to inspect my whole body and found no trace of any marks. Lu Chuanjin was inwardly alarmed, utterly at a loss as to why the elder ancestor of the Su family would track them down. But in this moment, there was no time left to ponder. The approaching figure of the elder ancestor of the Su family was drawing ever nearer. Pulled by the galloping 9-headed wind thunder steeds, a tsunami-like, terrifying spiritual pressure rolled in, churning mightily, making the air seem heavy and hard to breathe. Father, my brother and I have slain all of the beast-taming Su family's disciples in the Purple Shadow secret realm. This commotion is most likely from the beast-taming Su family. The family patriarch must be coming after us. Lu Chuanjin had an ugly look on his face as he conveyed this through a transmission to his father. Under such circumstances, he naturally did not dare to hide anything from his father. Lu Pingan, too, watching the cloud-engulfed and thunderous 9-headed wind thunder steeds charge towards them, had a grave expression. He hadn't expected that they would attract the wrath of the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family. Slain all of the beast-taming Su family's disciples? Lu Changxing was taken aback when he heard this. He thought to himself, what a wild turn of events. He had been wondering why this family patriarch from the Su family was rushing toward them with such a menacing air. So it turned out that the Su family's cultivators were all wiped out by his own sons, and now revenge was at hand. Father, this family patriarch from the Su family must have used some method to track down my brother and me, but you should be able to escape using talismans. Several talismans appeared from Lu Quanzhen's sleeves as he spoke urgently. Although rumors suggested that his father could slay false core immortals with talisman formations, he knew those were messages spread by Golden Dragon Ridge, deliberately glorifying their family. Therefore, facing the elder ancestor of the Su family, he had not the slightest thought of resistance. His first reaction was to scatter and escape with the use of talismans provided by Lu Changxing. Only in this way there was a chance that all three of them would not die here. He felt a pang of regret that Auntie Lu Miaoga wasn't here. Otherwise, his father and aunt working together might be able to contend with the elder ancestor of the Su family. Citich novel, Fr. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Source, web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Suddenly, a giant sword, tens of meters long and shimmering with the light of the seven colors, appeared above Lu Changsheng's head, bursting with endless fierce sword qi, threatening to obliterate everything as it slashed down ferociously. Boom boom boom. The violent storm of wind and thunder collided with the overwhelming giant sword descending from the sky, instantly creating an earth-shattering explosion. Bright mana light tore through the skies, and the waves of power from the battle's epicenter spread like raging seas, sweeping in all directions and stirring up huge waves. Such residual waves caused the nearby spirit boat, with Lu Chuanzhen and Lu Pingan aboard, to rock like a leaf in a tempest, nearly overturned and swallowed by the giant wave. Fortunately, a majestic and gentle breeze of mana came forth, dispelling the waves of power. What? Father's strength? Lu Chuanzhen and Lu Pingan, witnessing this scene, were shocked and looked at each other in dismay, their eyes filled with disbelief. They had never expected their father to be so powerful. Especially Lu Chuanzhen. He had always known that his father concealed his true strength and was not as simple as he seemed. But this was way beyond what had imagined. He could actually face off against a false core immortal head-on. Could it be that during the battle on White Tiger Mountain when he faced the great elder of the Jin family from Golden Dragon Ridge, was he merely toying with his opponent? Elder Su, you come here with such aggression. May I inquire as to the reason? Lu Changxing, in his mystic robe, stood with his hands behind his back in the void, looking at the approaching elder ancestor of the Su family and asked calmly. Who are you? You know of my beast-taming Su family and yet dare to oppose us so. The elder ancestor of the Su family, although surprised by their brief clash, still had an aggressive demeanor as he shouted loudly. Me? I am simply a loose cultivator, sending my children to the Purple Shadow secret realm for training. Lu Changxing responded thus. Very well, you won't tell me? A mere foundation establishment cultivator dares to be so insolent before me. Once I capture you, I will make you spill everything. The elder ancestor of the Su family glared with fury, his voice cold as he spoke. He had already decided that Lu Changxing was from some top-tier power, deliberately provoking to gauge his family's situation. In the midst of his speech, his pupils flashed with purple-blue thunder light. Roar! A beast's roar echoed through the heavens and earth. Strands of purple-blue thunder light spread from the Qi ocean core of the elder ancestor of the Su family. A ring-shaped magic artifact with swirling winds and thunder appeared above the elder ancestor's head. This ring, called the Thunderstorm Ring, was the life-bound magic treasure of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Although it was a low-quality magical treasure, after many years of his sacrifice, combined with the 9-headed wind thunder steeds, its power was astonishing. Even if Lu Changxing before him seemed out of the ordinary, capable of being a false core immortal, he was utterly unafraid. After all, as a member of the beast-taming Su family who commanded spiritual beasts, he was already among the best in his own rank. Boom! At the moment when the elder Su ancestor brought out his magical treasure, Lu Changxing had already taken the initiative to make a move. He knew that today's matter could not end well and he had to fight. 9 treasures Rui Bone, Spirit, Qi and Mind. Lu Changxing immediately activated the 3 divine skills contained within his life-bound treasure bone. The runes on his breastbone intertwined, bursting with brilliant light, enhancing his physical body, mana and divine sense intensely, roaring like a tsunami. In an instant, his figure as he shot forward, seemed to grow a few inches taller. At the same time, Countless purple-red fiery flames spread from his radiant body and charged ahead to confront the elder ancestor of the Su family. Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Roar roar roar. The nine-headed wind thunder steeds howled towards the sky, emanating waves of wind and thunder, which filled the air. But before Lu Changsheng's demon godlike figure, the nine-headed wind thunder steeds were directly sent flying by a brutal impact and screamed in pain as they were burned by the raging dragon flame. What? No good. The elder ancestor of the Su family saw Lu Changsheng directly use brute force to knock away his nine-headed wind thunder steeds and approach him. His expression slightly changed. Source: web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 977. False Core Immortal Nothing Special. Chapter 977. Chapter 349. False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. He hurriedly performed a gesture incantation, his life-bound magic treasure, Thunderstorm Ring, bursting with luster. It formed walls enveloped in wind and thunder, standing in front of him. Yet, at this very moment, Lu Changsheng, bolstered by the nine treasures Rui Bone, seemed like a true dragon awakening from his usual dormant state. It was like a primeval volcano erupting, an oppressive presence at its most tyrannical, his vital energy shooting to the heavens, creating smokes and flames that threw the world into chaos. Pu. Under the god and demon-like physical might, the Patriarch Zeus' nine wind and thunder walls were instantly fractured into pieces and dissipated like smoke. Patriarch Su, as a false core immortal, I wonder if you can handle a few moves from Lu someone. Lu Changsheng's eyes, with purple gold flames burning within his pupils, exuded a domineering and eerie aura. A sea of flames formed around his body, with a purple-red thunder dragon coiling around him, his voice resonating mightily. Not good. Could this person be a third-order body refiner? Patriarch Zeus' face was filled with horror. The idea of retreat surged in his heart as he quickly shouted, Taoist, please stop. However, Lu Changsheng had already made his move. A golden fist, accompanied by a roaring purple-red thunder dragon, came straight at him, so bright that it filled Patriarch Zeus' eyes. Puchi. With a punch as profound and abyssal as prison itself, accompanied by the hot and tyrannical Thunder Gang dragon flame, instantly shattered and melted Patriarch Zeus' body-protecting magic barrier. Then, with a burst of golden light, the punch, overflowing with endless thunder flames, directly smashed the false core immortal's physical body, leaving a gaping hole in his chest. You, Patriarch Su, his expression filled with shock, looked at Lu Changsheng before him, a sense of unprecedented despair rising in his heart. Sizzling. The next moment, the raging and ferocious Thunder Gang dragon flame evaporated Patriarch Zeus' blood, reducing his physical body to charred remains. Is this it? Lu Changsheng eyed the easily dispatched Patriarch Su with a sense of unreality. Weak, too weak. Truly too weak. Such strength, even without the use of the nine treasures Rui Bone, he could have easily crushed his opponent. However, it was precisely the blessing of the nine treasures Rui Bone that rendered the false core immortal powerless before him. Whether it was the nine-headed wind thunder steed, the effects of magical treasures, or the body-protecting magic barriers, all seemed too fragile to withstand a single blow. False core immortal is merely so, Lu Changsheng said indifferently. He raised his hand and collected Patriarch Zeus' inner core, storage ring and treasures into his pouch, then turned his gaze towards the nine-headed wind thunder steed. Roar roar roar. The nine-headed wind thunder steed, seeing its master dead, roared furiously towards Lu Changsheng. Upon seeing this, Lu Changsheng did not hold back, blasting all nine heads of the steed to their demise. Indeed, the nine-headed wind thunder steed was quite remarkable. Not only could it serve as a combat power but also as a means of transportation. But the steed had clearly been kept by Patriarch Su all along, making taming it quite troublesome. Even if it were tamed, he currently could not use it before others, only to be raised slowly. Yet, the expenditure for keeping a second-order monster beast was not a small overhead. It was better to just kill it. Having accomplished this, Lu Changsheng collected the carcasses of the nine-headed wind thunder steed into his storage bag. The flames around his body gradually dissipated, and the terrifying spiritual pressure receded like the tide, as he returned to his own spirit boat. At this time Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin on the spirit boat were still dumbfounded, motionless. It was too astounding. The scene from just now was simply too shocking. A single punch. Defeated in an instant? My father defeated a false core immortal with one punch. The brothers were utterly bewildered, at a total loss for words to describe their current feelings. It was beyond their wildest dreams. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. They knew their father was formidable and usually kept his skill hidden. But they never imagined it to this extent. And wasn't their father's greatest strength supposed to be the talisman path? How could he be so ferocious in body refinement? And that intense, overbearing and incredibly violent purple-red flame. Even after the fight was over, they could still feel a wave of scorching heat in the air. As cultivators, one should remain unfazed even if the sky dome collapses before them and remain calm even if dragons and phoenixes appear behind them. If you get worked up over such trivial matters, how will you achieve greatness in the future? Lu Changxing looked at his two sons acting this way and calmly instructed them not to make a fuss. The two brothers looked at their father. You call this a trivial matter? But upon reflection what their father said didn't seem wrong. After all, a battle resolved with a single punch was indeed a trivial matter. Certainly, when Patriarch Su had come to attack, their father had remained calm and assured, indicating that he was in control. What father says is true. Lu Pingan immediately showed an embarrassed expression, accepting the lesson. He believed his mindset was indeed insufficient. During the confrontation with Qin Yi in the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, his mentality was shaken. And just now he had been stunned into inaction. Such distractions could cost one their life in a fight to the death. Lu Chuanjin was still a bit muddled and only nodded without speaking. Because he truly did not know what to say. The shock of the situation was too great for him, finding his father a bit unfamiliar. It was hard to imagine that his father, with a low-quality spiritual root and usually lazy demeanor, possessed such astonishing battle strength and force. After we return home, I will explain to you. Lu Changxing, seeing that his sons were still troubled, patted their shoulders and spoke. Then he steered the spirit boat and transformed into a beam of escape light, flying swiftly into the mountain range on the right. They had just left Ziyun Gorge not long ago, and it was easy to attract the attention of others with the recent noise. Therefore he had to find a place to reorganize and check the situation to avoid being targeted. Shortly after Lu Changxing left, several figures looked over in this direction. What just happened? Such a formidable display of power, could it be nascent soul immortals fighting? Why did the battle end so quickly? I think I saw Patriarch Su just now. Patriarch Su left in a hurry earlier. It seems that all the clan cultivators died in the secret realm. Could it be related to this? Beast-taming Su family is one of the top-tier forces in Jianghu country's cultivation realm. How could such a thing happen? Could it be targeted by the four great immortal sects? Taoist friend, you shouldn't say such things. After a few whispers, several Foundation establishment cultivators did not dare to linger longer and quickly left. After all, they had just exited Ziyun Gorge and felt a frightening pressure ahead. They passed by to take a look, not wanting to get overly involved. Source: Web Novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 978. Men are inherently tough but gentle as fathers. Chapter 978, Chapter 350. Men are inherently tough but gentle as fathers. Dragon Head Mountain. The mountain towered mightily with a range of peaks stretching on, as if a real dragon lay coiled across them, gazing down over the vast land and leaving onlookers in dread. At the foot of the mountain, an immense stone stele stood 100 meters tall. Carved into it were the forceful and vigorous characters, Beast-taming Su family, exuding an air of grandeur and an ancient aura. This was the main residence of one of the three great cultivator families of Jianghu country's cultivation realm, the Beast-taming Su family. For thousands of years, the Su family had not only a core formation old ancestor at its helm but also third-order spirit beasts to underpin its heritage, commanding the renowned Water Serpent Dao soldiers and Fire Crow Dao soldiers across the cultivation world of Jianghu country. Their strength was unquestionable and not something ordinary family forces could compare with. At this moment in the Su family ancestral hall, an elder from the Su family responsible for guarding the hall, was startled by a sudden sound of a flame being extinguished from within. He entered the ancestral hall in a frantic state to investigate. Direct members of the Su family, the core descendants, were each equipped with a life-bound plaque. Once they broke through to Foundation establishment and became part of the upper echelons of the family, their life-bound plaque would be upgraded to a life-bound lamp. With this, not only could one ascertain if the lamp's owner was alive or dead, but one could also sense their life force through the lamp. A flickering lamp, like a candle in the wind, indicated that the person was in a state of crisis, and one could take the lamp to their aid. The Su family elder entered the hall where the lamps were displayed and at first glance, did not see any extinguished lamps. However, facing this situation, he felt no joy. His face turned pale as he slowly looked toward the high platform where the lamps were situated. The first layer. The second layer. The third layer. His face grew paler with each ascending layer he observed, and when he saw a lamp on the third layer extinguished, he felt as though struck by lightning, his face ashen, nearly collapsing to the ground. This is the ancestor's lamp. How could this be? The elder was overwhelmed, disbelief filling his eyes. Thinking his vision failed him, he looked again and again. Once sure the lamp was truly extinguished and their elder ancestor had perished abroad, he let out a pitiful cry, sounding the bell to notify the family. In the depths of the Kangmeng mountain range, Lu Changxing had finished cleaning out the storage bag of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Aside from spirit stones and several top-grade spiritual instruments, there weren't many precious treasures. Well, it seems that this elder ancestor of the Su family had probably spent all his possessions on this thunderstorm ring and the nine-headed wind thunder steed. Lu Changxing shook his head and sighed as he looked at the thunderstorm ring in his hand. A false core immortal like the elder ancestor of the Su family wouldn't possibly have afforded a nine-headed wind thunder steed if he hadn't been born into the beast-taming Su family. After all, nurturing spiritual beasts was akin to burning money. The Blackwater Jiaolong Dao weapon, 9 netherhound and 6-winged golden silkworm that he had asked Hong Lian to help him raise had all consumed vast amounts of resources. Not to mention the elder ancestor's 9 second-rank wind thunder steeds. Under these circumstances, unless the other party had just engaged in plundering and killing like Xiahou Wuwa had once done, they wouldn't normally have much wealth on them. Lu Changxing dealt with all the suspicious items, pocketing the magic treasure thunderstorm ring into his storage ring. Such life-bound magic treasures would see their power decline by several folds once refined by others. Moreover, if the attributes of the cultivation method did not match, they couldn't unleash much power at all, making it very superfluous and only suitable as a gift for one's children. As for the most precious thing aside from the treasure, it'd be this inner core, right? Lu Changxing examined the false core he held in his hand, belonging to the elder ancestor of the Su family. He had not yet come across the inner core of a false core immortal. By appearance, it should have been a third-order demon pill. However, after being condensed into a false core by the elder ancestor of the Su family, the entire pill looked marred and discolored, with an aura completely different from the true elixir of Nangong Meili. No wonder it's called a false core. By the looks of it, unless it's the same exact cultivation method used by the Su family elder ancestor, it's probably unusable by anyone else. After inspecting it for a moment, Lu Changxing put the core into his storage ring, planning to ask his walking encyclopedia, Hong Lian, for advice later. Then he turned to check on his 2 sons. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After a while, he identified the problem with the black dragon shears. The elder ancestor of the Su family must have used this spiritual artifact as a primer to sense your presence. Lu Changxing spoke out. He hadn't found any markers on his sons but noted that the aura of this black dragon shears resonated with the same source as a flood dragon pearl from the elder ancestor's storage bag. Chapter 979. Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Chapter 979. Chapter 350. Men are inherently tough but gentle as fathers. Lu Changxing continued to instruct. In the cultivation world, snatching magic artifacts not only often led to ones that were ill-suited for oneself, but also could contain various dangerous traps. Among the spiritual artifacts he had obtained previously at White Tiger Mountain, 2 of them contained bloodline spirit bands. However, the effects of the bloodline spirit bands from White Tiger Mountain were quite mediocre. It only made it difficult for others to unleash their full power, making them only suitable for members of the Zhao family. Dad, does this pair of scissors have a bloodline spirit band? Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan immediately asked. This one doesn't. Bloodline spirit bands, although they prevent outsiders from refining, can also impact the artifact's full potential. Moreover, as descendants' bloodlines become diluted over time, the effectiveness of the bloodline spirit bands would also be compromised, hence such bands are seldom applied except in family heirloom treasures. If you encounter such artifacts in the future and are unsure about them, just find a black market to exchange them for money, but you must be very careful not to attract attention during the process. Lu Changxing advised aloud. After packing up everything and getting ready, Lu Changxing didn't continue to stay in the mountains. He switched to a spirit boat and said to his two sons, "Let's go. Regarding the matters of today, you should keep my cultivation level to yourselves, and absolutely not disclose it." "Dad, I understand." "Father, your son understands." Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin nodded in response. After the three of them boarded the spirit boat, Lu Chuanjin, watching his father's tall figure, had numerous thoughts swirling in his head. Still pondering what exactly his father's situation was? Was it a case of a nascent soul true lord reborn through body snatching, or was it a reincarnation of some great being from legends? Besides these reasons, he really couldn't think of any others for why his father, in his 50s, would possess such astonishing strength, able to kill a false core immortal with a single punch. Moreover, he had also recalled something after coming to his senses. His father had used a sword technique when facing the elder ancestor of the Su family. The aura of that sword technique was fierce and dominant, somewhat similar to that of his brother Lu Qingshan's sword Dao. Then regarding body refinement, it was exactly like his older brother Lu Pinggan's, only even more straightforward and dominant, returning to the basics. So, did Big Brother inherit father's body refinement? Did Qingshan inherit father's sword Dao? Did Wang Shu inherit father's talisman path? Lu Chuanjin thought to himself, quite confused. The previous meeting with Uncle Chu Chang'e had broadened his horizons, making him think he had seen a more expansive world. Yet now, his father's actions had completely baffled him. "Chuanjin, if you have something to ask, just speak up, otherwise I see you holding back uncomfortably." At this moment, Lu Changxing turned back and smiled at his son Lu Chuanjin. His divine sense was sharp, naturally noticing whenever his son glanced at him, clearly troubled. "My child is just curious, father. You possess such strength, why do you continue to hide it so deeply?" Lu Chuanjin hesitated, not knowing where to start. After thinking, he chose a simpler question to ask. "Men should naturally be firm, but I choose to be gentle." Lu Changxing smiled lightly, looking at the mountains below spread out like stars in the sky, and softly said, "In the cultivation world, all beings are struggling. They fear neither heaven nor earth, only those who live differently from themselves. If you are too weak or too evil, they will destroy you and trample you. If you are too good or too strong, they will bully and fear you. Only by being just like everyone else can you be accepted by the world and live peacefully. If my strength were known to the world, endless troubles would surely find me. Even if I weren't afraid, what about you? So, to live peacefully and freely in the cultivation world, one must disguise oneself just like everyone else." Lu Changxing's voice was gentle as he spoke slowly. After finishing, he smiled, patted his son on the shoulder, and said, "You will gradually learn more about your father's affairs in the future. Just remember, I am always your father, the everlasting support behind you. So if you have any problems, just discuss them directly with me." Although Lu Changxing was disguised at that moment, his appearance much more imposing, such words still conveyed a familiar gentle tone to the brothers. "Father, I understand." Lu Chuanjin responded with a smile, no longer pondering or fretting. After all, whether his father was a nascent soul true lord reborn or some legendary great being reincarnated, it did not affect their father-son relationship. His cultivation, care and protection for them were all genuine. Furthermore, the more powerful the father, the more direct benefits to him as a son. Though he was self-reliant, he was not an old-fashioned person. When it was time to lean on his family, he would. "Dad, I understand." Lu Pingan nodded earnestly. Since the incident with the Hope Gu, Lu Changxing's figure had loomed like a high mountain in his heart. "By the way, Dad, I've broken through to the 6th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, but I feel like there were some issues during the cultivation process." Sir, the novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that moment, Lu Pingan spoke up, seeking Lu Changxing's advice on his cultivation technique. "A problem with cultivation? Tell me." Lu Changxing immediately showed a concerned expression. The details of the 100 Refinements treasure body art were extremely important. Even slight mistakes in the cultivation process could cause body issues. It happened in the secret realm when I took a lot of spiritual medicines and as a result, a thin membrane formed between my muscles and bones. I suspect this has something to do with my breakthrough to the 5th layer before. Lu Pinggan spoke, revealing his situation to Lu Changxing. May I see? Lu Changxing held his son's wrist, channeling his mana and divine sense into his body to check. A moment later, after seeing the thin membrane Pinggan mentioned, his brows furrowed slightly before smoothing out. Source: web novel. Com updated on Novlov. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 980. Men are inherently tough but gentle as fathers. Chapter 980, Chapter 350. Men are inherently tough but gentle as fathers. Lu Changxing thought to himself that his son's opportunity was indeed fortuitous. This was one of the divine skills of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, which Lu Pinggan had mastered on his own without a teacher under the autonomous operation of the cultivation technique. This is alright, it's a technique and magical powers accompanying the 100 Refinements treasure body art, which I haven't taught you before. This must be when you had a breakthrough to the 5th level earlier, where the cultivation technique automatically operated, allowing this divine skill to begin its initiation. Then, with the nourishment of a vast amount of heaven and earth spiritual material, it acquired a few characteristics of the divine skill's effect. Lu Changxing said so. As an orthodox level cultivation technique, the 100 Refinements treasure body art naturally had other techniques and divine skills besides the treasure bone technique. Like the thin membrane inside Lu Pinggan's body, it's called 100 Refinements battle armor. Once refined, it could spread the membrane out, forming an armor around the body. If not displayed on ordinary days, it would stay inside the body like a keratinous membrane, enhancing bodily defense. Divine skills? Both Lu Pinggan and Lu Xianxia were startled upon hearing this. After all, only nascent soul immortals could cultivate and master divine skills. Now that they heard about Lu Pinggan's initiation into divine skills, how could the two not be surprised? Yes, divine skills, but it only possesses a few characteristics of the effect. To truly refine this divine skill, there is still a long road ahead. Lu Changxing spoke, saying thus. He could see that the other seemingly had this trait by a fluke of chance. The true small achievement of divine skills was still a great distance away. Moreover, to condense this 100 Refinements battle armor, it's unknown how many resources and heavenly and earthly treasures it would require. After we return home, I will pass the techniques and divine skills of the 100 Refinements treasure body art to you. During your cultivation process, if you have any other issues, speak them all out. Lu Changxing continued to speak. Immediately afterwards, Lu Pinggan voiced all the issues and confusions he encountered during his cultivation. During this, Lu Changxing nodded slightly as he heard his son talk about the fist technique that opens mountains. He thought to himself that his son indeed had some comprehension in body refinement and martial path. After the 5th level of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, one could gradually cultivate the body parts towards magical treasures, condensing a type of effectiveness. This mount-opening fist technique of Lu Pinggan was based on this principle. Except, his situation was a shortcut. He did not condense his own technique and divine skills, but by condensing a magical treasure within the body, leveraged a trace of its power effect. However, as Lu Pinggan spoke, Lu Changxing only then realized that this son had the strength but lacked a severe understanding of how to use it, and just like his own old father, didn't even possess a single suitable magic artifact. Once we return home, I'll solve this for you. Lu Changxing said boldly with a grand gesture of his hand, planning to teach the techniques of the 100 Refinements treasure body art to Lu Pinggan once back home and then tailor several spiritual artifacts for him. After all, he had no capability to forge magical treasures, but with his current fame as Master Lu, requesting others to forge a few spiritual artifacts was not a big problem. Once Lu Pinggan breaks through to Foundation establishment and has spiritual artifacts, he could situate himself in White Tiger Mountain and start utilizing the spirit land there. As the father and sons idly chatted, the spirit boat swiftly flew toward By Lake Mountain. Meanwhile, in the beast-taming Sioux family, a mighty disturbance swept over the entire Dragon Head Mountain. Fierce beasts roared, shaking the void. The family patriarch has come out of closed-door cultivation. Previously it was said during the Beast Tide incident, The family patriarch was gravely injured and went into secluded cultivation, with strict instructions not to be disturbed unless absolutely necessary. How soon it has been that he had to come out. This incident must involve someone deliberately targeting our family, hence the family patriarch had to step in. Not only the family patriarch, but the aura of the earth dragon beast is also present. Countless members of the Su family sensed this aura and were extremely alarmed. Many high-level members immediately understood and spoke with trembling voices. Check immediately, see which force is responsible. This old man isn't dead yet and they dare to mess with my Su family. The voice of the elder ancestor of the Su family thundered like rolling thunder, with the roars of thousands of beasts suppressing a burst of rage as he spoke towards the Su family high-level officials. This closed-door cultivation of his had only lasted 10 years, and such an incident in his family naturally made him extremely angered. At your command. The high-level officials of the Su family were terrified and shivering. Instantly the entire beast-taming Su family sprung into action, because this was not merely a matter of the death of one false core immortal, it also concerned the face and dignity of the beast-taming Su family. 1 month later, Lu Changxing, Lu Pinggan and Lu Chuanjin returned to Bai Lake Mountain. He directly took his 2 sons to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak. After all, it was time to tell them about some matters regarding the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Moreover, both Lu Chuanjin and Lu Pinggan were preparing to break through to Foundation establishment, and he planned to have both men break through in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Follow me. Lu Changxing led the 2 toward the summit. The 2 brothers looked at each other. This summit of Blue Cloud Peak was a familial forbidden area, shrouded in clouds and mists all day, something they had never experienced before, yet now their father was bringing them here. Before long, the 3 arrived at the summit of Blue Cloud Peak. As the inverted 5 elements formation opened, a tall and prominent Mount Sumeru tree king appeared before the 2, glistening with gold and jade. This is. Both could tell that the tree before them was no ordinary one. However, Lu Chuanjin immediately noticed that aside from this tree, there was no residence to be seen on the entire summit. This is the Mount Sumeru Tree King, our family's sacred tree of stabilization. Lu Changxing pointed at Mount Sumeru and spoke. Mount Sumeru Tree King, the sacred tree of stabilization? The 2 looked at the Mount Sumeru Tree King before them, desiring to know why this tree was considered their family's sacred tree of stabilization. However, Lu Changxing did not explain and pointed to a rather inconspicuous tree next to Mount Sumeru, speaking towards Lu Chuanjin. Chuanjin, this is the auspicious tree that your mother used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. As his son already knew about the heaven and earth longevity technique, he naturally would not hide it. Auspicious tree? Lu Chuanjin was taken aback, observing the auspicious tree before him. Haha, this name was chosen by your mother, so you are certainly unfamiliar with it. Lu Changxing smiled and said, Father, is the heaven and earth longevity technique unpracticable without a spiritual root? At this moment, Lu Pinggan suddenly looked at Lu Changxing and asked. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing paused for a moment and then gently shook his head. He understood what his son meant by his words, but without spiritual power, it was impossible to refine heaven and earth spiritual plant, Xianxia the Nephire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Pinggan pursed his lips, his expression somewhat heavy as he nodded. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing softly called out. Instantly, a golden portal appeared before them. The 2 brothers saw the golden portal before them, both stunned, for the portal reminded them of the gate to the Purple Shadow secret realm. Could it be that their family owned a secret realm? Go in. Lu Changxing patted their shoulders and spoke. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 981. Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 981. Chapter 351. Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. 3 people entered the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Dad, this place is... Lu Chuanjin and Lu Pinggan looked around at their surroundings, eyes wide with shock. They had never expected that their own family possessed such a secret realm. This place is known as the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, our family's true core. Lu Changxing spoke out. As he spoke, his gaze drifted towards the newly appeared medicine garden not far off. Inside, flowers and trees of various shapes, all shrouded in spiritual energy, were planted. Changxing, you've returned. At that moment, Lu Miaoge, who was inside the Changxing Hall, sensed Lu Changxing's presence and walked out. She wore a simple white dress, her features gentle and beautiful, exuding a temperament as placid as water. Seeing Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun beside her, she showed a slight surprise and said with a smile, Pingan and Chuanjun are also here. Aunt. Greetings, Aunt. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun immediately bowed with hands clasped. Indeed, Pingan and Chuanjun are nearly at the point of foundation establishment, so I brought them here to have a look. They will attempt to achieve foundation establishment within this cave heaven when the time comes. Lu Changxing was still dressed in a dark fate-defying robe, but his face was no longer disguised, revealing his handsome, majestic features. Pingan and Chuanjun are about to establish their foundations? Upon hearing these words, Lu Maiage's graceful face showed astonishment. Although during their time on White Tiger Mountain, she knew that Lu Chuanjun had the capability of the 9th level energy refinement. But she did not expect that they would so soon be attempting foundation establishment. And Lu Pingan was also going to attempt foundation establishment? She remembered that 16 years ago, Lu Pingan had just discovered his spiritual root and embarked on the path of cultivation. For a time, Lu Miaoge felt as if she was in another world, reminiscing about the years on Qingzhou Mountain when they struggled to cultivate a foundation establishment great cultivator, pouring the entire family's effort. Yet now, unbeknownst to her, the second generation of her family was about to begin their foundation establishment. That's right, both Pingan and Chuanjun encountered some fortunate opportunities, so they've progressed quickly. Lu Changxing smiled and spoke, Sister Miaoge, has Qingshan already returned? He had noticed earlier on that the plants in the garden were the spiritual medicines brought back by Lu Qingshan from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. Qingshan brought back the spiritual medicines from the Secret Realm and then left with Qingzhou to return to the Jinyang sect. Lu Miaoge said in a soft voice. Although her children had returned for several months, their departure once more left her with reluctance. Just like that, they're gone? Lu Changxing felt a pang in his heart and sighed upon hearing this. Originally, when his children were taken in by Tianyuan True Immortal as disciples, he was on his way home and had no chance to bid them farewell. Now that they had departed, he as their father, was once again not at home. But this was to be expected, as Tianyuan True Immortal's primary intention for bringing the children home was to visit the Purple Shadow Secret Realm and to see their family. Now that several months at home had passed, and the exploration of the Secret Realm had concluded, naturally they could not stay for long, waiting for his return to say goodbye. Moreover, his son Lu Qingshan had matters to attend to in the sect. By the way, Changxing, these are the spiritual medicines sent back by Qingshan. He mentioned that because the Yujian Jinren of the Heavenly Sword sect noticed his exceptional sword Dao talent, he was exempted from submitting these medicinal herbs. Lu Miaoge, discerning her husband's mood, promptly changed the topic and pointed towards the medicine garden, speaking gently. The Yujian Jinren of the Heavenly Sword sect noticed his exceptional sword Dao talent, so he was exempted from submitting these medicinal herbs? Lu Changxing was taken aback upon hearing this. Outside of the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, he had seen his son Lu Qingshan speaking with a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect, and then leaving without submitting the medicinal herbs with Tianyuan True Immortal. At that time he thought that the true person from the Heavenly Sword sect allowed his son to leave so promptly out of respect for Tianyuan True Immortal. He never expected that it was actually because of his son's own sword Dao talent. Yes, Qingshan said that Yujian Jinren only asked him to go to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice on swordsmanship after he breaks through foundation establishment. Then he wouldn't need to submit any medicinal herbs? Lu Maiage's eyes shone as she spoke softly with a smile. Although Lu Qingshan was the son of her younger sister Lu Miaohuan, she had always treated him like her own. She doted on this nephew even more than her own daughter Lu Qingzhu. Now that Lu Qingshan was so highly regarded by a nascent soul immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, inviting him to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice, she was very happy and proud. CTH Nullfire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, this was the Heavenly Sword sect, the overlord of the Jianghu country cultivation realm, the holy land for all sword cultivators. For an ordinary cultivator to be accepted into the Heavenly Sword sect was already akin to a fish jumping the dragon gate. And her own child was being personally invited by a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice. Such an honor it was. Being valued by a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect and invited to seek advice, thus exempt from submitting medicinal herbs? Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun, hearing this, also looked at each other, marveling at such good fortune. They knew that their harvest in the Purple Shadow secret realm was far from a small amount. If only we had given all the medicinal herbs to Qingshan. Lu Pingan regretfully said immediately. They were worried that giving all the medicinal herbs to Lu Qingshan might have an impact on him, so they had only given half. Pingan Chuanjin, you've also worked hard on this journey to the secret realm. At this moment, Lu Miaoge spoke softly to Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin. She knew that half of the spiritual medicines sent back by Lu Qingshan were their part of the harvest. Therefore she differentiated between their gains and Lu Qingshan's. After all, in a family there is a contribution system. Even if they were all from the same family, contributions would be rewarded accordingly. It's just that, currently, Bihu Lake Mountain's family contribution system wasn't fully established. For the gains from such secret realms, there was no explicit reward policy yet. "Aunt, we've still got some spiritual medicines here." Lu Chuanjin spotted the heavenly spirit flowers in the front garden. He immediately understood the reason his father had them uproot the medicines from the Purple Shadow secret realm completely. It was because their family's Mount Sumeru cave heaven could nurture all kinds of precious spiritual medicines, similar to the Purple Shadow secret realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 982, Rich Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 982, Chapter 351, Rich Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. This left him utterly astonished, feeling that his father was becoming more and more mysterious. All right. Lu Miaoge took the spirit plant bag and then sent a message to Lu Changxing. Changxing, Pingan and Chuanjin have gathered so many spiritual medicines this trip, have you thought about how to reward them? Although they were their own children, she felt that rewards must be given no matter what. Don't worry, you'll handle this. Lu Changxing sent back a message. He planned to reward his son, Lu Pingan, with the casting of a spiritual artifact and the magical treasure body tempering art for his cultivation. As for Lu Chuanjin, who was lacking nothing at the moment, he decided to give him the entire bottle of Purple Mansion elixirs. After his son broke through to the Foundation establishment late stage, he would go on a journey. 10 Purple Mansion elixirs would be enough to enhance one's divine sense from the initial stage of Foundation establishment all the way to the late stage. This would be of great help to Lu Quanzhen's experience outside. Lu Miaoge nodded lightly. She was just reminding her husband. After all, Lu Changxing could be rather casual about these matters. He might not take it to heart or might forget about it after a while. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing opened the spirit plant bag, indicating that any plant that could be grown should be planted. Master. Mount Sumeru spoke out, indicating that it could maintain the growth of these spirit plants. But it could only barely keep them alive, not able to expedite their maturity. However, for Lu Changxing this was enough. As long as they could barely sustain life, he could use the myriad spirits heaven dew to ripen them when needed. After Mount Sumeru had planted the golden Bodhi date tree, white jade Ganoderma, heavenly spirit flower and golden blood ginseng, rare spiritual medicines hard to cultivate in the outside world, in the medicine garden of the cave heaven, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge took inventory of the remaining gains. Counting the spiritual medicines previously sent back by Lu Qingshan, the harvest of the three brothers was indeed very rich. There were a total of 4 heavenly spirit fruits. If it weren't for the fact that Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin had turned in 2, there would have been 6. But with the heavenly spirit flower, Lu Changxing wasn't too concerned about the 2 submitted heavenly spirit fruits. After all, who could have expected that Lu Qingshan would be favored by a true individual of the Heavenly Sword sect and be exempted from submitting spiritual medicines? Seeing the gains of her 3 sons, Lu Miaoge also looked moved. You must know that in the Purple Shadow secret realm, rare spirit fruits like the heavenly spirit fruits, even if a clan cultivator risked their life, they would still need good luck to possibly obtain 1 or 2. Yet her own 3 children brought back 4 from the secret realm. This made her realize that Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin were also extraordinary. Seeds of a second-ranked demon tree? At that moment, Lu Changxing looked at the 4 thumb-sized purple crystal seeds in his hand. Yes, but we're not sure if they are the seeds of that demon tree because these seeds were found inside the body of a demon beast, Lu Chuanjin said. Good, Chuanjin Pingan, you've worked hard. Lu Changxing nodded. If these 4 seeds were indeed seeds of a heaven and earth spiritual plant, then to him, they would be far more precious than any spiritual medicine. He planned to try cultivating these seeds with some leftover myriad spirits heaven dew from his home when there was some to spare. Then Lu Changxing had Mount Sumeru build a simple wooden house for the two brothers, Lu Pinggan and Lu Chuanzhen, next to it for daily cultivation. See the novel, Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He told them that if they wanted to enter or exit the cave heaven, they could just call for Elder Mount Sumeru. Alright, you've both been tired from the journey, go back and rest early. Lu Changxing waved his hands to his sons. Yes, father. The two bowed and called for Elder Mount Sumeru, then left the cave heaven. Sister Miaoga, when you have time, make a trip to Jianghu Mountain and have father-in-law outsource the additional ingredients for the Foundation Establishment elixir, Lu Changxing said to Lu Miaoga. With 4 heavenly spirit fruits, he could now refine 4 batches of Foundation Establishment elixirs. With 3 pills per batch, that was 12 Foundation Establishment elixirs. This amount was more than enough for his family right now. And with the Myriad Spirits bottle, he could have as many Foundation Establishment elixirs as he wanted in the future. So under these circumstances, he naturally would not forget about Jianghu Mountain and was willing to lend them a helping hand. Alright, Lu Miaoga's beautiful eyes were brimming, gently looking at her husband, clearly understanding his intentions. Although her son Lu Qingshan had said when he came back that if there were extra Foundation Establishment elixirs, they would give one to Jianghu Mountain, but she hadn't brought it up yet, and Lu Changxing had already proactively thought of Jianghu Mountain, which moved her deeply. Sister Miaoga, I've missed you. Lu Changxing chuckled softly, wrapping his arms around his wife's delicate body, sniffing the fresh fragrance of her hair, and spoke in a warm voice. The trip to and from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm had taken over 3 months, and the whole process was quite tedious for him, his mind constantly missing his beloved wife at home. Lu Miaoga nestled in her husband's arms, breathing in his scent. Sister Miaoga, let me see how your Sun Moon Samsara technique is progressing. Lu Changxing slipped one hand under his wife's knees and lifted her in a bridal carry, striding into the Changxing Hall. Changxing. Lu Miaoga couldn't help but softly call out, quickly extending her hand to wrap around Lu Changxing's neck, her face flushing with a rosy tint. For someone her age to still be held by her husband like this, if Sister Ling or little Linger saw, it would be embarrassing. However, thinking that Ling Zixiao had been in closed-door cultivation these days and Bai Ling was looking after the little ones at the Lu family mansion, she relaxed and rested her cheek against Lu Changxing's chest. Entering the cave mansion, Lu Changxing put his wife on the white jade bed and began to kiss passionately, expressing his longing. Between their lips, a delicate and heavy symphony swirled, accompanied by the rustling sounds. The white dress, snow lotus undergarment, embroidered shoes, silk socks, and his long robe and boots all slowly scattered across the floor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 983, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 983, Chapter 351, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Two bodies tensed, stretching, twisting, and colliding amid faint gasps. Changxing, you just got back. Don't stay up too late. Lu Miaoga cooed softly, her beautiful eyebrows slightly furrowed, her captivating eyes shimmering, her voice trembling as she spoke. She felt that after being away for so long, Lu Changxing should have headed straight to the Lu family mansion upon his return instead of engaging in cultivation like this. I understand, Lu Changxing replied, his voice somewhat muffled. After some time of cultivation, achieving harmony between yin and yang, Lu Changxing felt refreshed and invigorated. Then he and Lu Miaoga straightened their clothes, walked out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and made their way to the Lu family mansion. Aside from Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaoyan, and Ling Zixiao, no one else knew of his trip. Everyone believed he had been in closed-door cultivation at home. That was exactly what Lu Changxing had intended. He did not want anyone to suspect that he had gone to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm during his time away. Upon arriving at the mansion, Lu Changxing routinely inquired about his wives, concubines, and children before hosting a family banquet to stir up a bit of excitement. Chu Jinjin saw her son, Lu Chuanzhen, return and asked him what he had been doing these days. Lu Chuanzhen had already prepared a reason, saying that he had been busy on White Tiger Mountain. Although the affairs of White Tiger Mountain had been handed over to Lu Qingsong, Chu Jinjin, who generally wasn't concerned with household affairs, didn't question his explanation further, only telling him to take good care of himself and be cautious when away from home. After the lively home events, Lu Changxing received the ancient beast taming charm from Lu Miaoyun. He then took out an elder ancestor of the Su family's false core and asked aloud, Hong Lian, can an inner core like this still be used? As he wanted Hong Lian to guide the cultivation of his children, Lu Changxing usually entrusted Lu Miaoyun with handling the ancient beast taming charm. Lu Miaoyun only knew it contained a senior expert's presence, not much else. Master, this demon core has been condensed into a false core, mixing demonic power with mana, and it can no longer be used for core formation. Unless cultivated using the same cultivation method as this person, there's only a 20 to 30% chance of condensing a false core, Hong Lian replied. As I thought, Lu Changxing nodded. He too had sensed that the inner core's energy was mixed and chaotic. Not to mention core formation, even using it for alchemy could easily lead to problems. Since that's the case, does this kind of inner core serve any other purpose? This would provide his son with an additional card up his sleeve when traveling outside. But the six-winged golden silkworm was not like the nine netherhound. Even if he made the six-winged golden silkworm obedient, it could still go out of control in Lu Quanzhen's hands. Although this golden silkworm is fierce and low in spiritual intelligence, it's still under the young master's control. If paired with the ancient beast taming charm, it's worth a try. Hong Lian spoke up. The ancient beast taming charm not only nourished demon beasts, but it also had an effect on taming them. And she knew many methods of taming demon beasts. Good. Lu Changxing nodded. He planned to have Lu Chuanzhen try to contract this six-winged golden silkworm once he made a breakthrough in Foundation establishment. By Yunpeak. In a small courtyard. Chuanzhen, just focus on cultivating peacefully at home during this time. If you're about to hit Foundation establishment or if there's anything else, come directly to me. Lu Changxing told his son Lu Chuanzhen. Yes, father. Lu Chuanzhen nodded in response. After giving instructions, Lu Changxing then went to the puppet workshop, found his other son Lu Pingan who was watching puppet crafting and said, Pingan, come with me. Dad. Lu Pingan immediately nodded in response and followed Lu Changxing to a small courtyard. Once the 100 refinements treasure body art breaks through the 5th layer, you can further refine your skull, rib bones, spine, limbs to gain certain abilities just like your current mountain opener. So, if you are comfortable using this magical treasures effect, you can choose to base your cultivation on this treasures effect. Lu Changxing began guiding his son on the subsequent elements of 100 refinements treasure body art and the aspects of technique and magical powers. After teaching the cultivation method, he gave elder ancestor of the Su family's thunderstorm ring and the damaged halberd they had obtained with Li Feiyu at the tungsten mine to Lu Pingan for condensing into his body. Ah, 2 magical treasures. Lu Pingan looked stunned as his father suddenly produced 2 magical treasures for him to integrate into his body for cultivation. After all, these were magical treasures. Just use them if I tell you to, and you can see the effects of the magical treasures for yourself. That's what Lu Changxing said. Then he handed over a jade slip to Lu Pingan and said, By the way, about the cultivation methods, what do you think about this Black Dragon Codex? Previously, Lu Pingan had mentioned cultivating the purple true solar scripture, asking if he wanted to switch to a more powerful cultivation method. Hearing this, Lu Changxing naturally thought it was necessary. But with so many cultivation methods at home, not many suited Lu Pingan. Besides martial path and body refinement, where Lu Pingan had some talent, he was quite average in other areas. So, after much consideration, Lu Changxing thought of the Black Dragon Codex. Besides, Lu Changxing had always hoped that one of his children would cultivate the Black Dragon Codex. If Lu Pingan could succeed in cultivating this method, he could also take charge of the family's Blackwater Jialong Dao troops in the future. After all, Bai Ling's personality was truly a bit too frivolous to be in control of the Blackwater Jialong Dao troops. Black Dragon Codex? Lu Pingan took the jade slip to examine it after hearing his father. Yes, this cultivation method involves dual cultivation of magical and physical aspects. Once cultivated to great success, one can transform into a black dragon. The only downside is that advancing through realms will affect fertility. Although it doesn't completely prevent progeny, trying to conceive after cultivating it will be many times more difficult than normal. Lu Changxing spoke up saying this. Chapter 984. Lu Chuanzhen Foundation Establishment, Yin Yang Creation Scripture. Chapter 984. Chapter 352. Lu Chuanzhen Foundation Establishment, Yin Yang Creation Scripture. With a breakthrough in realm, is it several times more difficult to have children? Although Lu Pingan had not yet started a family, he was rather traditional and felt that he still needed to settle down in the future. If he settled down, naturally he would want 1 or 2 children. Preferably 1 boy and 1 girl. However, it was only making extending the line difficult, not impossible. He nodded without saying much. His mind was immersed in the cultivation technique Jade Slip, reviewing its contents. After a long while, Lu Pingan roughly understood the Black Dragon Codex. The purpose of its techniques was to observe the transformations of a true dragon. During cultivation, one would condense dragon scales, dragon skin, dragon tendons, dragon bones, and dragon blood, ultimately achieving great success by transforming into a black dragon. Its physical body was formidable, comparable to that of the dragon clan demonic beasts. It was precisely for this reason that human flesh and bones would undergo dragonification, thus making it difficult to extend the line. Apart from this drawback, Lu Pingan was very tempted by the Black Dragon Codex. Because although this technique involved magical dual cultivation, it was 3 parts chi refinement and 7 parts body refinement. He had the foundation of the 100 refinements treasure body art, and if he cultivated this technique, he could skip many body hardening steps and thus progress rapidly. If you think it's suitable, you can try cultivating it. If it doesn't work, I will think of another way, Lu Changxing said. Chi refinement breaking through to the foundation establishment realm was particularly important. Naturally, he wanted his son to cultivate a top-level technique. Dad, I'll give it a try, Lu Pingan said solemnly. But after saying this, he somewhat embarrassedly scratched his head and asked Lu Changxing, Dad, there should be elixir medicines in heaven and earth spiritual materials in the cultivation world that can increase fertility, right? Hee. Lu Changxing was amused by his son's words and said with a laugh, not only are there such elixir medicines and spiritual materials, but there are also secret techniques for this purpose. Do you need them now? If you do, I can teach you. Since he had given his son this technique to cultivate, he naturally took this aspect into consideration. Currently, he had a secret technique, the 5 aggregates proliferation method, which could increase the likelihood of pregnancy. If Lu Pingan was prepared to have children when he had already broken through to core formation and this technique was not sufficient, by then he would also be able to obtain elixir medicines and heavenly and earthly treasures that could boost fertility, even guaranteeing offspring. No need, I was just asking. Lu Pingan quickly waved his hand, dispelling the last few concerns in his heart. Subsequently, Lu Changxing taught Lu Pingan how to cultivate the Black Dragon Codex. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. After settling things with his 2 sons and generally taking care of family affairs, Lu Changxing found his daughter, Lu Wangshu, and prepared to take her on a trip to the Luoyun mountain range. After all, he had previously promised to take his precious daughter out to play and to visit Xianxia. But it had been delayed because of the Purple Shadow secret realm. Now that he had time, he naturally took his daughter out to explore and gain some world experience. Bui Bayu, Lu Wangshu was feeding her younger sister Lu Lingyi. Although this little daughter was only 2.5 years old, she was very nimble. Ao wu, she opened her mouth wide to eat chestnuts one by one. Lu Changxing saw this scene, immediately went up and knocked a chestnut on his daughter's head, saying irritably, Lu Wangshu, what do you think you are doing to Xiaohe? He and Ling Zixiao had already felt that daughter Lu Lingyi was somewhat dull and not very bright. If Ling Zixiao saw her precious daughter being teased by Lu Wangshu like this, it would probably upset her a lot. But Xiaohe clearly looks very happy. Lu Wangshu immediately covered her head, huffed, and said discontentedly, Da-ao wu. Lu Lingyi saw Lu Changxing and immediately called out, her chubby cute little face adorable. Lingyi, come here, daddy will hold you. Lu Changxing picked up his daughter, pinching her chubby tender cheeks. Daddy, I want to eat chestnuts. Lu Lingyi pointed at the chestnuts in Lu Wangshu's hands and said in a baby voice. As Lu Changxing had guessed, Lu Lingyi inherited the body refinement talent of the dragon roar physique. So it was evident now that her body was much better than that of ordinary toddlers. But it also caused her to eat a lot more than ordinary children, being very gluttonous on a daily basis. Her brother, Lu Lingxiao, on the other hand, did not have this condition. Okay. Lu Changxing took the chestnuts from his daughter Lu Wangshu's hands and gently fed them to his daughter. But after feeding her a few, he thought of the way Lu Wangshu had been feeding her and found it very amusing, and he couldn't help but try. He asked his daughter Lu Lingyi to stay put while he tossed them into her mouth. Ao wu. Watching his daughter's lively and joyful face, Lu Changxing couldn't help but smile, finding it very amusing. But the next moment he saw not far away, his daughter Lu Wangshu looking at him with a disdainful and contemptuous face. Cough, cough, Lingy must be tired, here, have some water. Lu Changxing coughed softly and handed a cup of water to his daughter. Then he took out a bottle of spiritual dew from his storage ring and offered it to his daughter Lu Wangshu. Here, Wangshu. Hee hee, daddy, isn't it fun? A smile immediately appeared on Lu Wangshu's face and she giggled. I told you to take more care of Lingy, hoping that you sisters would get along well, not for you to play around. Lu Changxing said irritably, if Aunt Zishao sees, see what she would say to you. La la la. Lu Wangshu made a funny face. She used to be quite afraid of Ling Zishao. But after spending more time together over the past 2 years, she found that Ling Zishao was actually quite gentle. I'm now free and am ready to take you to the Luoyun mountain range. Do you need to prepare anything? Lu Changxing said, helplessly shaking his head. Ah, so soon? Excitement appeared on Lu Wangshu's face. Then after pondering for a moment she said, it seems there is nothing I need to prepare, daddy, I'm ready to go anytime. Chapter 985. Lu Chuanzhen establishes foundation, Yin Yang creation scripture. Chapter 985. Chapter 352. Lu Chuanzhen establishes foundation, Yin Yang creation scripture. Okay, since that's the case, let's do it tomorrow. Lu Changxing looked at his daughter Lu Lingyi in his arms and spoke out. He then went to find his son Lu Lingxiao with his daughter Lu Lingyi in his arms. Although this son was twins with Lu Lingyi, his personality was entirely different from Lu Ling's lively nature. He was of a quiet disposition, and he found novelty in reading, alchemy, talisman making, puppets and so on. And this son wasn't very fond of Lu Wangshu. Or rather, he thought this sister was always acting improperly all day long and seemed childish and boring. The next day, after mentioning it to Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaoge, Lu Changxing took his daughter, Lu Wangshu, and left by Lake Mountain. The Luoyun mountain range was at the border of the Qingyun region and the Wuxia sect, a considerable distance from Bai Lake Mountain, taking over a month to reach. However, this trip was meant for leisure, and Lu Changxing didn't rush the entire journey, allowing Lu Wangshu to wander and enjoy herself along the way. At this moment, on the shimmering sea surface, a beautiful young girl around 17 or 18 years old, wearing a light pink dress, was holding a fishing rod, seemingly fishing. Lu Wangshu, can you tell me how this is any different from fishing at home? Lu Changxing, looking at the daughter who was quietly fishing in front of him, couldn't help but finally speak up. They were originally on their way. Suddenly, Lu Wangshu said she felt inspired and that the opportunity for a breakthrough had arrived. Then the daughter came here to fish in serenity for her breakthrough. But after fishing for more than an hour without any sign of a breakthrough, Lu Changxing was getting impatient. If you're going to have a breakthrough, do it properly. What's with the fishing? Sure. Lu Wangshu put her slender jade-white finger to her lips, signaling Lu Changxing to be quiet. The fish is hooked. A moment later, Lu Wangshu stood up and lifted the fishing rod. As waves splashed on the glittering sea surface, a carp was caught by Lu Wangshu. At the same moment, a surge of spiritual power spread from within Lu Wangshu, forming a spiritual pressure aura that caused the nature's spiritual energy to swirl around. Lu Changxing was startled, looking at his beautiful and enchanting daughter in silence. Alright, if you want to play, so it is. Are you really trying to defy your father? After a moment, a surge of spiritual pressure emerged, and Lu Wangshu broke through from the 5th level to the 6th level energy refinement. Daddy, cultivation is about cultivating the mind. You need a calm heart, a tranquil spirit, and patience. Lu Wangshu, wearing her light pink dress and smiling buoyantly, said with an air of a fairy. Alright, fairy maiden Wangshu, what you say makes sense. Lu Changxing was charmed into laughter by his own daughter. He realized that as long as he was with this daughter, he found it challenging to maintain his composure. Goose. Seeing her father looking like this, Lu Wangshu immediately let out an unrestrained laugh. You stabilize your realm a bit and we'll set off later. Lu Changxing said somewhat helplessly. And so, the two took 2 months to reach the Luoyun mountain range. At this time, Xianxia was busy and didn't have much time. After a few days, Xianxia finally managed to squeeze in some time to reunite with the two at a small marketplace nearby. With Lu Wangshu, this third wheel present, Lu Changxing got hardly any time to practice the Sun Moon Samsara technique with Xianxia. He planned in his heart that the next time he came to the Luoyun mountain range, he would come alone without his daughter. Since the Luoyun mountain range was still in a semi-locked state, Lu Changxing didn't mention wanting to go to the mountain's secret realm. After half a month of reuniting with Xianxia, he then took his daughter back to Bai Lake Mountain, exploring and enjoying the scenery along the way. When Lu Changxing and Lu Wangshu returned to Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chuanzhen had already started his foundation establishment assault. Although the sun breaking through to foundation establishment was almost a sure thing, as a father, Lu Changxing still watched over him in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Considering that after his son's foundation establishment he would be traveling out, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion, brought Chu Jinjin to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and told her about Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment attempt. After all, the travels following the son's foundation establishment would last at least several years, or perhaps even over a decade. He couldn't always keep it hidden from his wife. Besides, Chu Jinjin wasn't that naive. It would be better to tell her directly that their son was very talented, not an ordinary person, and she shouldn't worry too much but instead, let the child go out. Ah, Chuanzhen is breaking through to foundation establishment? Chu Jinjin arrived in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and after hearing Lu Changsheng's words she looked at Lu Chuanzhen who was attempting foundation establishment inside the wooden house, with surprise on her face. She previously had heard from her daughter, Lu Caizhen, about her son's cultivation level. She knew that Lu Chuanzhen was at the 9th level energy refinement. But she hadn't expected her son to attempt foundation establishment so soon. He didn't even tell me a word about such a big event. Chu Zenshin's heart was initially filled with joy but felt slightly aggrieved. In addition, Lu Changxing even saw hope in addressing Ling Xixiu's and his daughter Lu Ling's dragon roar physique. Regarding this technique, Lu Changxing became more and more enthused as he read, feeling that it was very suitable for himself. However, to cultivate this technique, it's necessary to be guided by the yin-yang qi. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and looked at his yin-yang 5 elements foundation base. The base was as exquisite as a jade disc, with radiant and bright halos showcasing the colors of the 5 elements. Surrounding the disc, a small yin-yang fish swam around in loops. According to the yin-yang creation classic records, this yin-yang qi is caught by great spiritual adepts during the transition of yin and yang in the world, extracting the origin source, and after all kinds of sacrifices, a wisp can finally be formed. Other than this method, there is also one type of Taoist body named yin-yang Taoist body, which has the yin-yang qi since birth. But both of these are unrealistic for me, unattainable. Theoretically, the yin-yang energies of my Dao Foundation also count as yin-yang qi. I wonder if they might meet the requirements? Lu Changxing felt that the yin-yang creation classic was highly suitable for himself. But such a technique wasn't something one could cultivate just because one wanted to. Techniques like the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture, etc., only required comprehension. The requirements regarding talent were general. Whereas the Brahmin Demon True Saint technique in this yin-yang creation classic not only had extremely high demands on comprehension, but also had strict requirements on talent, external factors, and more. It's still yin-yang energies, it's worth a try. If I can cultivate this yin-yang creation classic, it will be of tremendous benefit to me and I will no longer have to worry about techniques in the future. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and decided to try switching to this technique later. Though his current technique switching greatly delayed his cultivation and wasted time. It would also affect the Tai Dao seed in Lu Miage's Dantian, impacting Lu Miage's practice. But in Lu Changxing's view, as long as he could cultivate the yin-yang creation classic, it was all worth it. Chapter 987, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Foundation Establishment Elixir Again. Chapter 987, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Foundation Establishment Elixir Again. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Inside a wooden hut. Is this foundation establishment? Lu Chuanzhen sat cross-legged, his eyes suddenly opened wide, gleaming with black and golden luster. Behind him, an astonishing phenomenon emerged, a boundless ocean with a kunping shifting between fish and bird, vague and revealing a terrifying and domineering aura. After a long time the phenomenon faded, and Lu Chuanzhen stood up, his eyes bright and piercing. From chi refinement to foundation establishment, he was like a great fish leaping out of the sea, transforming into a pung bird and soaring into the sky. Although the foundation establishment stage was just the beginning of cultivation, he had a long journey ahead of him. But he believed that one day he would soar 90,000 miles just like a kunpeng. Knowing that his father was waiting outside, Lu Chuanzhen did not revel in his experience. He walked out of the hut and greeted Lu Changxing with clasped hands. "Father. Well done, my son Chuanzhen, you indeed have the makings of a true immortal." Lu Changxing watched his son, who had just succeeded in breaking through to foundation establishment, yet remained calm and composed, and a smile spread across his face. At this moment, Lu Chuanzhen had just broken through, and his mana aura was not yet fully controlled. He could sense the terrifying, domineering aura within his son's body. This intense and terrifying aura contrasted starkly with Lu Quanzhen's refined and elegant demeanor. He took out a bottle of elixir medicines from his storage ring and tossed it to his son. This pill is called the Purple Mansion Elixir. It purifies the soul, clears the physical body, and strengthens the divine sense and physique. It is a gift from your father. Purple Mansion Elixir? Strengthen the divine sense? Lu Chuanzhen caught the elixir. Divine sense was very important for a cultivator. Whether in cultivation, fighting techniques, or other aspects, divine sense could play a significant role. Therefore he knew that this bottle of elixir medicine his father gave him was no ordinary item. "Thank you, father." Lu Chuanzhen slightly bowed. "Once you have refined the Purple Mansion Elixir, your father has other gifts for you," Lu Changxing said, smiling. He then patted his son on the shoulder. "Let's go. Although we won't announce your foundation establishment publicly, we should still inform your mother." Lu Changxing had no plans to publicize his son's foundation establishment. On one hand, his son was low-key and disliked fanfare. On the other hand, it was to avoid unnecessary trouble. After all, Lu Chuanzhen was only 33 years old. At this age, achieving foundation establishment was considered genius even among immortal sects. Placed within the family forces like at Bihu Lake Mountain, it was extremely astonishing. Bihu Lake Mountain had already been under the spotlight these years, so it was better to keep a low profile, benefiting both the family and Lu Chuanzhen. "Okay." Lu Chuanzhen nodded. He then went with Lu Changxing to pay respects to his mother. Chu Jinjin was very happy to learn of her son's breakthrough to foundation establishment and even thought about organizing a foundation establishment ceremony. However, Lu Changxing suggested postponing it and keeping the celebration simple within the family. He also advised Chu Jinjin not to spread the news of Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment. Aside from Lu Miaoyun and others, the other concubines should not be told. As for early wives and concubines like Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Jinjin, Lu Changxing trusted them greatly. However, he could not fully trust the family direct daughters who married into the family later. It wasn't that they had ill intentions toward Bihu Lake Mountain, but they might spread some news about Bihu Lake Mountain back to their homes and to the outside world. "Okay." Chu Jinjin understood this principle and did not mind too much about the foundation establishment ceremony, her face full of joy. After all, her son had become a foundation establishment great cultivator. He was the first among the second generation of the Lu family to achieve foundation establishment, marking a moment worth commemorating. Even though she was never competitive at this moment, she could not help but feel overwhelmingly happy and proud. Night fell. Lu Changxing arranged a family banquet. Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yun, Lu Wangshu, Lu Caizhen, and other wives and children attended to celebrate Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment. After the simple celebration, Lu Changxing thought of the myriad spirits bottle that had gathered another drop of myriad spirits heaven dew. He gave this drop of myriad spirits heaven dew to Chu Zenshin's auspicious tree, aiding her in her breakthrough to foundation establishment. Regarding the matter of myriad spirits heaven dew, Lu Changxing did not conceal it from his son Lu Chuanzhen. He directly told him about this treasure and expressed that in the future, if he encountered any rare spiritual medicine or seeds of worldly treasures outside, he must not miss them and should bring them back home. Following that, Lu Changxing had Ling Zixiao and Mount Sumeru conceal the movements and actions while pouring the myriad spirits heaven dew onto the auspicious tree. With Lu Miao's precedent, he was not overly concerned this time. Lu Chuanzhen watched for a while, and seeing nothing amiss, he excused himself to return to his own dwelling for closed-door cultivation to consolidate his realm. Chapter 988. Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Chapter 988, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Thinking of relying on the yin-yang energies of the Tao Foundation to transform and cultivate the yin-yang creation classic was exceedingly arduous. If I could gather 7 or 8 yin-yang attribute spirit body origins to supplement my yin-yang energies, maybe I could meet the standard of this yin-yang qi. Lu Changxing reflected on his Tao Foundation's characteristics. Yin-yang energies could grow by absorbing spirit body origins. However, spirit bodies were already rare to come by. Spirit bodies with yin-yang attributes were even rarer. What's more, they needed to be from female cultivators who would provide their spirit body origins to him. Although my yin-yang energies are somewhat weak, they can regenerate continuously. Theoretically, as long as I meticulously consume yin-yang energies to transform my entire Bodhis mana into yin-yang magic power through persistence, I would slowly refine this yin-yang creation classic. Lu Changxing pondered silently within his heart. Since the quality was insufficient, he would compensate with quantity. Once his yin-yang energies were depleted, they could mostly recover after about 10 to 15 days. Furthermore, he could also transfer these yin-yang energies through dual cultivation into Lu Miaoge or Ling Zishao's body to nurture and strengthen them. Thus, as long as he was willing to spend the time and deal with the inconvenience, he could still cultivate this scripture. Although this process is very troublesome and will delay my cultivation for a long time, once I successfully switch to cultivating this, I will essentially establish an unrivaled immortal foundation, and I won't have to worry about foundational issues as I progress toward becoming an immortal. And switching cultivation techniques is better done sooner rather than later. Even if I don't switch to cultivating the yin-yang creation classic now, I will have to consider it in the future. After taking a deep breath, Lu Changxing exhaled slowly. Although he could initially practice the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, wait until core formation, nascent soul, and even divinity transformation to consider switching cultivation techniques once the conditions permit. But switching at that time not only affects the foundation, makes the effort doubly hard, but it's also very troublesome. Thus, switching cultivation techniques should be done as early as possible. Moreover, the yin-yang creation classic is truly suitable for him. Lu Changxing felt that it would be difficult to come across another scripture so suited for him in the future. Even if he did, who knows what stringent conditions the techniques might have and whether he could cultivate them. Let's cultivate it. It's just a bit more troublesome and time-consuming. After all, not long from now, Qingshan and Pingan will also gradually reach foundation establishment, and I don't need to spend time on my cultivation, I just need to peaceably switch to cultivating this technique. Lu Changxing made up his mind and stepped out of the cave mansion. Due to the influence of Tai Life Water technique, his fate was closely linked to Lu Miaoge. His switch to cultivating this technique would inevitably affect Lu Miaoge's cultivation. Moreover, during the process of switching he would need Lu Miaoge's assistance. Thus, he naturally had to inform Lu Miaoge about this matter and discuss it together. However, theoretically, once he switched his cultivation to the yin-yang creation classic, the Tai Dao seed within Lu Miaoge would also reach a higher level, bringing many benefits. Switching cultivation techniques? When Lu Miaoge heard what Lu Changxing said, she was quite surprised. For a cultivator, the significance of a cultivation technique was naturally indubitable. Under suitable conditions, all cultivators would determine their main cultivation techniques before foundation establishment or core formation. She knew the cultivation technique practiced by Lu Changxing was called the 7 luminary sword scripture, a top-level technique, extraordinary. Now, in good conditions, Lu Changxing was talking about switching cultivation techniques. However, she knew Lu Changxing understood more about this aspect than herself and did not ask for reasons. Alright, there's nothing going on at home right now, Changxing. If you want to switch cultivation techniques, just focus on that. I won't be affected or delayed here, I just happen to have time to stay at home and look after things. Lu Miaoge, whose beautiful face was pure and refined, spoke gently. She had switched cultivation techniques twice during the Qi refinement realm. She knew that the higher the realm, the more troublesome switching cultivation techniques became. Additionally, halfway through transforming the mana during the switch, it would impact the combat capabilities. All right. Seeing his wife's gentle and considerate support, Lu Changxing smiled. Immediately thereafter, he explained his situation, stating that his cultivation technique was quite troublesome, requiring yin-yang energies as the catalyst. So, for a long time coming, he would be unable to use yin-yang energies to nurture Lu Miaoge's Tao Foundation and Tao Seed. She would also need to nourish the yin-yang energies with the universal mother qi. For these, Lu Miaoge naturally had no issues or concerns and fully supported Lu Changsheng. After discussing the matter of switching cultivation techniques with his wife and sharing a tender moment, Lu Changsheng also started to do something important, preparing to make pills. Refining the foundation establishment elixir. Because the family had collected auxiliary materials for the foundation establishment pills early on. Now that they had the main medicine, the heavenly spirit fruit, it was just right to start a batch of foundation establishment elixirs. With this batch of foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Changsheng could enable Xia Zizhu and Li Xingrua to achieve foundation establishment. Both women, one having a spirit-nurturing physique and the other being a second-order alchemist. If they achieved breakthroughs in foundation establishment, it would bring tremendous benefits to the family. Especially Xia Zizhu, who had given birth to 4 children, 3 with middle-grade spiritual roots and 1 with a high-grade spiritual root. If she achieved foundation establishment, the effect of the spirit-nurturing physique might further improve. Lu Changxing came out of the cave heaven and arrived at Lu family mansion, learning that his wife Chu Xinjin had not managed to break through foundation establishment and was still somewhat short. Regarding this, Lu Changxing wasn't overly concerned. Previously, Lu Miaoyan successfully practiced the heavenly longevity technique, directly breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement. Chu Xinjin practiced the heavenly longevity technique, only breaking through to the 8th level energy refinement. Moreover, Lu Miaoyan had been cultivating with the luminous treasure tree for over 10 years, having a certain foundation, which is why a single drop of myriad spirits heaven do achieved foundation establishment. It was normal for Chu Xinjin, who had only recently completed the heavenly longevity technique, not to break through foundation establishment. Chapter 989, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Chapter 989, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. After consoling his delicate wife, Lu Changxing then went to Lake Heart Island to begin alchemy. At the same time, within a closed-door cultivation chamber. The effect of this purple mansion elixir. Lu Chuanjin opened his eyes and let out a long breath, his eyes filled with shock. He knew that the bottle of purple mansion elixir his father gave him was extraordinary. But he hadn't expected its effect to be so astounding. If it weren't for his physical body and soul being different from ordinary people, along with the soul-nurturing jade, he would feel somewhat unable to withstand this medicine's power. However, under the scorching power of the purple mansion elixir, both his physical body and soul had significantly improved. Especially his divine sense. He found that his divine sense had almost doubled. Such an improvement could truly be called terrifying. He knew that the bottle of purple mansion elixir had a total of 10 pills, and he had only taken 1. Sigh. Lu Chuanjin thought of the dragon scale fruit, 5 elements fruit and heaven replenishing elixir that his uncle had given him. Now that he had just made a breakthrough in foundation establishment, his father had given him such precious elixir medicines. He felt that his own efforts were simply nothing in front of these treasures. However, he was not an old-fashioned man and wouldn't feel like he was being wasteful or squandering heavenly resources. Instead, he would work even harder, to prove that he was worthy of these gifts and not let down his uncle and father's expectations. After his condition inside had more or less stabilized, Lu Chuanjin took another purple mansion elixir and began refinement. 1 month later. The simple and spacious alchemy room. Whoosh! Lu Changxing watched the Ziyun Dan furnace in front of him with focused concentration, his hands continuously performing gesture incantations to control the earth fire. Next to him, the clear and elegant Li Xingrua, wearing a light yellow dress, watched Lu Changxing refine pills, her eyes filled with intense focus. Even just observing the process of making foundation establishment elixirs was enormously helpful to her, and she gained a lot from it. Time ticked away and it was unknown how long had passed. Li Xingrua saw the spiritual mechanism lingering within the pill furnace and threads of fragrant aroma wafting about. She immediately held her breath and focused, looking towards Lu Changxing. She saw Lu Changxing's hands continuously performing gesture incantations, sending one spell after another into the pill furnace, then he loudly declared, "Open!" Buzz. Instantly, the lid of the furnace forcefully opened, a burst of heat surged forth, and a brilliant glow spread all around. How is the pill formation? Li Xingrua looked towards the pill furnace, her face showing a bit of nervousness. Although she knew Lu Changsheng's alchemy skills were high, being a second-tier top-level alchemist, for rare elixir medicines like Foundation Establishment elixirs, aside from the 4 great immortal sects, Danxia Mountain, or the alchemists seated in the 3 great immortal cities, hardly anyone could become familiar with the process. Collect. Lu Changxing drew 3 Foundation Establishment elixirs from the mist of heat into his hand. Hee, not bad. This time there are 2 top grade and 1 top quality one. Looking at the 3 Foundation Establishment elixirs in his palm, shiny and full, moist and fragrant, Lu Changxing said cheerfully. 3 pills formed, and what's more, 2 top-grade Foundation Establishment elixirs and 1 top-quality one. Li Xingrua, who was beside him, cried out in amazement, her clear beautiful eyes sparkling with admiration and adoration. As a second-order alchemist, she was well aware of how significant it was to have 3 pills formed, including 2 top-grade Foundation Establishment elixirs and 1 top-quality one. Perhaps even the alchemists of the 4 great immortal sects couldn't guarantee to refine Foundation Establishment elixirs to such an extent. Xingrua, keep this Foundation Establishment elixir for yourself, and focus on Foundation Establishment in the coming time, striving to make a breakthrough as soon as possible. Lu Changxing handed a top-grade Foundation Establishment elixir to Li Xingrua. She had long had the cultivation level of 9th level energy refinement. But without a Foundation Establishment elixir, she did not dare attempt Foundation Establishment. After all, Foundation Establishment was a risky business. It wasn't a guaranteed success just because one had the elixir. Therefore, some people, even if they had the means, wouldn't take the risk. My husband, Li Xingrua was startled, filled with emotion. Although she guessed that Lu Changxing would give her a Foundation Establishment elixir, she still couldn't quite believe it when she saw the pill before her. Keep it, no need to be courteous with your husband. Lu Changxing smiled and then inquired if she had any confusion or misunderstanding about the alchemy process she had just observed. Previously, Lu Changxing dared to split his focus and make talismans during the alchemy process, refining pills while guiding Li Xingrua. But Foundation Establishment elixir was difficult to refine, and he couldn't dare to distract himself too much, fearing that he would ruin the precious process. My husband, Li Xingrua promptly spoke up, expressing the doubts and questions she had while observing the alchemy process, which Lu Changxing answered one by one. After resolving Li Xingruo's questions, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion to hand a Foundation Establishment elixir to Xianxia. He encouraged her to cultivate well in the coming time and establish her foundation as soon as possible. My husband, Xianxia looked at the Foundation Establishment elixir, feeling as if she were in a dream. It was known that her brother, with a 4th-grade spiritual root, was a Qingyun sect disciple who had already cultivated to the 9th-level energy refinement. But for many years he had been striving for a Foundation Establishment elixir. To this date he hadn't even gathered enough contribution points for one. And she, having married Lu Changxing as a concubine, had done nothing but bear 4 children for Lu Changxing in these 30 years, aside from learning a textile skill to make vestment robes for the family's children, barely making any contributions. But now, Lu Changxing was actually giving such an invaluable Foundation Establishment elixir to her, so she could attempt Foundation Establishment. Practice well and strive for an early Foundation Establishment. Lu Changxing gently stroked her hair and spoke softly. His early years of affection for Xianxia were simply due to his desire for her body. But after so many years of being together, their feelings had deepened, and with 4 children, their bond had grown strong. Moreover, throughout the 30 years, except for the occasional allowance that Xianxia would send her brother, Xia Zhaoyang, there had been no other issues. And Xia Zhaoyang, this younger brother-in-law, was quite good too. He hadn't caused any trouble, and had even helped look after the Qingyun sect children. Lu Changxing didn't mind these small acts. Chapter 990, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. _4 Chapter 990, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. _4 Therefore, he had previously asked Lu Miaoyun to support Xianxia with 3,000 spirit stones and send them to her brother-in-law to help with his foundation establishment. Thank you, husband. Xiaoxiu's eyes reddened with gratitude. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing naturally knew what to do and offered her consoling words, hoping to repay the kindness like a spring that never runs dry. Afterwards, they went to check on the condition of their children, especially their son Lu Xingqian. This son had a third-grade spirit root, but Lu Changxing did not let him test for the spiritual root, instead announcing it to be a fifth-grade spirit root. Because over the years, Bai Lake Mountain had developed by attracting many guest elders and apprentices. It was certain that among these people, some were spies from other family forces. Therefore, when it came to his children at home, he always tried to cover things up as much as possible to avoid drawing attention. TSK, sell this ordinary foundation establishment elixir to Jianghu Mountain. Lu Changxing looked at the top-grade foundation establishment elixir in his hand, planning to give this one to his son Lu Pingan, while selling the one he previously had to Jianghu Mountain. After all, being a little biased as both a husband and a father is quite normal, isn't it? Beast-taming Su family. Within the resplendent Great Hall, Lu Qingshan, disciple of Tian Yuan true immortal of Jinyang sect, from Jianghu Mountain, son of Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain. An elder dressed in a purple and green brocade robe, tall and imposing, with a dignified face and the appearance of a young man with white hair, was looking at a piece of information in his hand. He looked at the middle-aged man below him and spoke with an imposing voice that didn't sound angry yet exuded authority. Is this Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain the same one who practiced a dual cultivation technique with his wife and suppressed Golden Dragon Ridge back then? Reporting back to the family patriarch, it is indeed him. The middle-aged man replied. Interesting, not only does Lu Changxing have both a mix of luck and encounters, rising in just a few short decades to where he is now, but he also has sired such an exceptional Qilin child. The third ancestor of the Su family narrowed his eyes, sharp as ever. From the early events at Golden Dragon Ridge, he had taken notice of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga, adding them to his kill list. He had thought that if he ever encountered them, he would take the opportunity to eliminate them both. Unexpectedly, in investigating the issues concerning his family's Purple Shadow secret realm, he had inadvertently stumbled upon such news. This Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain actually had such a brilliant and extraordinary son. According to the records, this Lu Qingshan could be regarded as a natural prodigy in the Sword Dao, and as long as he did not meet an untimely death, it was very likely he would achieve core formation, being considered as a nascent soul seed of the Jinyang sect. This was astonishing. One must know these family forces all faced a common issue. That would be the lack of a successor, an interruption in the line. And there, in the prime of their lives, Lu Changxing and his wife had produced such a proud child with the potential for core formation. It was like striking gold with their ancestral graves. If this Lu Qingshan truly became a nascent soul immortal in the future, then Bai Lake Mountain would likely rise completely, becoming a significant threat to their own family. However, even though he now knew this, there was nothing he could do at the moment. As a designated nascent soul seed of the Jinyang sect, the Su family naturally did not dare to provoke Lu Qingshan. And with Lu Qingshan around, even if he wanted to move against Bai Lake Mountain and kill Lu Changxing and his wife, he would now have to think twice. After all, if he were to move against Bai Lake Mountain and kill Lu Changxing and his wife now, it would be tantamount to creating an enmity with Lu Qingshan, inviting a formidable enemy. Apart from this Lu Qingshan, are there any other suspects from this trip to the Purple Shadow secret realm? The third ancestor of the Su family put aside the matters concerning Bai Lake Mountain and continued to inquire. Now half a year had passed and they still had not been able to identify which power was targeting them. Continuing like this, he wouldn't be able to explain himself to his ancestors. After all, for this matter, their family patriarch had even left seclusion, ready to fight back and recover their dignity. But now they still couldn't find the culprits. Reporting back to the family patriarch, besides this Lu Qingshan, the rest are loose cultivators, and we simply can't find any information on these loose cultivators. The middle-aged man wore a wry smile on his face. The Purple Shadow secret realm had seen over 1,000 people enter, with hundreds coming out. Apart from disciples of the Immortal sects and clan cultivators, the majority were loose cultivators. It was impossible to investigate these people. Useless. The third ancestor of the Su family stood up, his tall frame like a majestic lion, imposing and authoritarian, his voice filled with pressing authority. Continue the investigation, we must have a result for this matter. Yes. The middle-aged man, knowing that it was highly unlikely to achieve a result, could only grit his teeth and accept the command. Chapter 991. 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, the Idea of Relocation. Chapter 991. Chapter 354. 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, the Idea of Relocation. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lu Changxing had started practicing the yin-yang creation scripture, but because of the yin-yang energies, he didn't need to be in closed-door cultivation all the time. He even saved the daily sitting sessions. So on regular days he would be alchemizing, drawing talismans, crafting puppets, and spending time with his wives and children. However, because the alchemist of the family, Li Xingrua, was in closed-door cultivation preparing for foundation establishment, he spent most of his time on alchemy. That day, Lu Changxing was engaged in alchemy, when suddenly a mysterious vibration accompanied by a system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for having 70 spiritual root descendants, you've gained 1 lottery chance. Lu Changxing perked up upon hearing this notification. Not just because the system had given him some child money, but also because this child's spiritual root was quite extraordinary. It should be a top-grade spiritual root. System. Lu Changxing silently called out in his mind. Name, unnamed, lifespan, 1 of 77, talent, 3rd grade spiritual root, cultivation level, none, talent, dual cultivation 40%. Indeed, it's a 3rd grade spiritual root. A smile spread across Lu Changxing's face. As time went on, the speed at which he now had offspring gradually slowed, but in terms of the quality of his children, it was getting higher and higher. There were now 216 children. But among these 216 children, there were 70 spiritual root descendants. Such a ratio was astonishing. And among these 70 children, there were 2 with 1st grade spiritual roots, 1 with a 2nd grade spiritual root, and 2 with 3rd grade spiritual roots. Adding Lu Pingan, Lu Chuanjin, and Lu Caizhen, who had their roots enhanced postnatally, there were a total of 5 with 4th grade spiritual roots, 7 with 5th grade spiritual roots, and 12 with 6th grade spiritual roots. If you also counted Lu Qingshen's Gengjin body constitution, Lu Wangshe's blood talisman spiritual body, Nangong Yaoyao's flawless heavenly fragrance body, and Lu Lingxiao with Lu Ling's dragon roar physique, then this quality of offspring was enough to look down upon all the surrounding family forces. Even the false core family of Golden Dragon Ridge couldn't begin to compare with his Lu family. This is truly worthy of me. Lu Changxing couldn't help but feel a wave of pride when he thought of these accomplishments. After all, these were the results of his hard work, bit by bit.